Chapter 23. The atmosphere in the conference room was tense, and the air was filled with the smell of gunpowder. The school leaders of Rosefinch Secondary had held meetings for 2 consecutive days just to deal with a teacher. This was something that had never happened in the history of Rosefinch Secondary. The principal of Rosefinch Secondary, Zhang Xiaofeng, played with the cigarette in his hand and scanned the room. "Everyone please speak." No one spoke. "What? No one wants to speak?" Zhang Xiaofeng grinned. "Clamoring for a meeting, but now that everyone is here, no one is willing to speak. What's going on?" Lu Chaoga sat up straight, but she was drawing on her notebook with a pencil. She was drawing a snowfield, a very difficult flower arrangement technique. She was only looking for inspiration now, so she didn't dare to ruin those expensive flowers. Li Mingqiang crossed his arms and lowered his head. No one knew what he was thinking. Everyone else also lowered their heads and maintained a meditative state. "If no one wants to speak, shall I announce the end of the meeting?" Zhang Xiaofeng said as he knocked on the table with his fingers. "Principal, it's not that we don't want to speak, but we don't know how to say it," Jia Siding, the leader of the language team, said with a troubled expression. Originally, Fang Yan was not qualified to attend today's meeting. However, because Fang Yan was a teacher of the Year 1 Chinese Literature team, and because the incident this time was indeed within the jurisdiction of the Chinese Literature team, Office Director Fu Chong personally called him and invited him. "Huh." Zhang Xiaofeng frowned. "Leader Jia, what's the problem? This isn't the first day we've worked together. We're firm teammates, so what can't we just say?" "Principal, originally, the teacher would definitely be held accountable for this incident." Jia Siding glanced at Lu Chaoga and acted like he was ready to go all out. "Taking students to Sparrow River during school hours and causing a female student to fall into the water, how serious of a dereliction of duty is this?" Lu Chaoga's hand didn't stop drawing. She didn't even raise her head as she said, "Team Leader Jia, you still don't understand the situation? Teacher Fang Yan isn't bringing the students to Sparrow River to play. He's bringing them to study the essay, Farewell to Cambridge Again. This is something that all the teachers and students in the school know. How did it become a dereliction of duty in Team Leader Jia's mouth?" "Principal Lu, I'm the leader of the first-year language team. You said that Fang Yan brought students to Sparrow River to study, but why didn't I see any applications from him? Not only did I not see it, the entire Chinese literature team did not see it either. Also, for every novel teaching method, we need to discuss it in the language group. If the results are good, we will strongly support it. If the effect is not good, it will waste time and energy. We will stop it in time. Let's not discuss whether Mr. Fang's teaching method is good or not. He didn't inform us in advance, which is a violation of the system." Jia Siding looked at Lu Chaoga and pleaded, "Principal Lu, you have to understand our difficulties. If all the teachers in the Chinese literature team did what Fang Yan did and deviated from the lesson plan to mess around, wouldn't our work be a mess? If that happened, we would delay the students' precious time and affect their grades. I can't afford to take responsibility for that." Crack, she used too much force, and the pencil in Lu Chaoga's hand snapped. Lu Chaoga closed the notebook in her hand and stared at Jia Siding with a sharp gaze. She said, "Who said that Fang Yan didn't write an application report? His report is lying on my desk right now. I've already asked Dean Zheng to retrieve it. You'll see it very soon. Who knows if you found someone to write it for him at the last minute?" Li Mingqiang laughed coldly. "Besides, the activity report should be sent to the Chinese literature team, not to you, the vice principal in charge of human resources, right? Dean Li, shouldn't we have full trust in our teachers?" Lu Chaoga asked confidently. "Because I was the one who recruited teacher Fang Yan, he's more familiar with me. He's not very familiar with some of the school's rules and regulations, so he wrote the application and sent it to me. Teacher Fang Yan did make a mistake, but it was only a mistake that violated the procedures. I will criticize and educate him on this and ask him to write a self-reflection." This was the strategy that Lu Chaoga had prepared beforehand. She couldn't fire a new teacher just because he wasn't familiar with the procedures, right? She didn't give him any time to catch his breath. She immediately took the initiative and aimed at Jia Siding. "Team Leader Jia, You said that every novel teaching method needs to be discussed at a meeting of the Chinese literature team. Then I'd like to ask you a question. From last year to this year, how many novel teaching methods have the Chinese literature team discussed and approved? This. Not a single one. Lu Chaoge threw out the answer directly. You mean to say that the current teaching method is the best, and there's no need to make any changes? It's been passed down for so many years, so of course it has its advantages, Jia Siding argued. Of course, there will be some flaws and inadequacies, but our teachers have rich work experience, so they'll self-correct in the process of teaching. Then you sure have it easy as the leader of the Chinese literature team. Lu Chaoge sneered. I have to thank the school leaders for their trust and the support of my colleagues. Some colleagues who don't support or cooperate make me feel very sorry. Jia Siding was a Chinese literature teacher, so he was very eloquent. Even when Lu Chaoge argued with him, she couldn't gain the upper hand. Team leader Jia, society is advancing, and the demand for talents is constantly changing. Our Rosefinch secondary students have to adapt to the trend, and even guide it, not teach them to be bookworms who only know how to read books. Vice Principal Lu, you might be too pessimistic about our school's students. Li Mingqiang laughed and said, our Rosefinch secondary students can enter a very good university after graduation. The students who have graduated from university and started working have also achieved very good results in society. Principal Xiaofeng, I'm right, right? Last time, I even suggested to you that when Rosefinch Secondary's 50th anniversary, we must invite more outstanding graduates to participate in the school's activities. Zhang Xiaofeng nodded and said, that's true. But Vice Principal Lu has just returned to China, so you don't have a clear understanding of our school's situation and the employment situation of our students. This is understandable. After all, everyone needs to adapt. Li Mingqiang looked at Lu Chaoge and said, Vice Principal Lu, we all know that teacher Fang Yan was recruited by you, and that you have high expectations and feelings for him. However, the school has its rules and regulations, and teacher Fang Yan did break the rules and regulations. It would be fine if nothing happened, but now a student has fallen into the water because of his negligence. The school's parents will come soon. If we can't give them an explanation, I'm afraid it will be difficult for them to accept it, right? Someone has to stand up and take responsibility. Young people are too radical. Students can't be sloppy in their work. Zhang Xiaofeng tapped the table with his fingers and asked, what's everyone's opinion on how to deal with it? Expel Fang Yan. He hasn't passed the school's 3-month probation period. It can't be considered as expulsion, but he didn't pass the probation. Agree to expel Fang Yan. If he doesn't do anything, everything is good. Lu Chaoge said loudly. Teacher Fang Yan is dedicated to the students. Although there are some small flaws, we can't treat this kind of passionate and idealistic teacher. Principal Lu, you can't say that. Is the student falling into the water a small flaw? Li Mingqiang retorted. Everyone knows that the Sparrow River is very shallow. Even if someone falls into the water, there won't be any danger. What if his head accidentally hits a rock when he falls into the water? You're making wild guesses. Isn't that also wild guesses? Of course, it's good that the student is fine. If something happens to the student, it will be too late for us to regret it. Therefore, we must deal with this kind of teacher who has no discipline and organization. Dong dong dong, Zhang Xiaofeng knocked on the table and said, everyone let's vote. Those who agree to expel Fang Yan, raise your hands. Except for Lu Zhaoge and Zhang Xiaofeng, everyone else raised their hands. Zhang Xiaofeng nodded and said, the results are out. The school's board of directors has decided to expel the language teacher of grade 1, class 9, Fang Yan. Li Mingqiang and Jia Siding looked at each other. Their faces didn't change, but they were very satisfied with the result. This time, not only did they get rid of the annoying Fang Yan, but they also trampled on Lu Chaoge's prestige. Don't think that you can suppress us just because you came back from abroad. What you learned in the United States is unorthodox. Our teaching methods are traditional and authentic. In fact, through Fang Yan's incident, it wasn't just a matter of whether Fang Yan would stay or not, but a fierce conflict between the school's conservative and reformist factions. The conservative faction had a lot of people and power, and they also had director Zheng Tianqing's support. Their attacks were fierce. Lu Chaoge was alone and weak. It seemed that it would be difficult for her to have the right to speak. Zhang Xiaofeng looked at Lu Chaoge and said, "Teacher Lu, why don't you talk to Fang Yan? Explain it to him and don't let the young man leave with his emotions. In any case, he and our rosefinch are fated." "Principal, I'm afraid I'm not competent," Lu Chaoge coldly said. Zhang Xiaofeng's eyes turned cold. He thoughtfully looked at Lu Chaoge and said, "Principal Lu, you're in charge of the school's personnel. Why are you not competent? This matter was originally within your scope of work." "Because before Fang Yan was expelled, I might have resigned," Lu Chaoge said. "If he leaves, I'll leave too." Everyone was shocked. Chapter 24. The girl who fell into the water was called Zhu Fang. Because her student number was 40, she was the last one to board the ship. She was lying on the hospital bed in the school infirmary. Her hair had been dried and her wet school uniform had been changed. She was wearing a disposable hospital gown. Looking at Fang Yan and her classmates standing in front of her, Zhu Fang said with a pale face and guilt, "Mr. Fang, I'm sorry. I didn't complete the task. I've let you down." Originally, she was full of confidence and wanted to give everyone a perfect ending, but because of her carelessness, these two classes became a farce. Her heart was very uncomfortable. She felt sorry for everyone standing in front of her. "You didn't let me down," Fang Yan said with a smile. "You did a good job." He boarded the boat courageously and recited the poem passionately. It was just that he slipped a little. This is a mistake that anyone can encounter. It has nothing to do with you. But don't think too much. Fang Yan comforted her softly. "It's okay. You have a good rest. Maybe your parents will come soon. Explain it to them. Don't let them worry. Leave the rest to us." "My parents?" Zhu Fang was stunned. "How did they know?" "They are your parents. They have the right to know everything about you," Fang Yan said with a smile. The reason why Zhu Fang's parents could come so quickly was naturally because some people with ulterior motives tipped them off. Their daughter fell into the water at school. The parents' emotions could be imagined. However, Fang Yan didn't think there was anything wrong with what he did. Which parent didn't care about their child? Putting oneself in their shoes was the heart of Buddha. If he had a child, he also wanted to know every little bit of the child's learning. If it was his opponent who made a mistake, he would do the same. Zhu Fang got up from the bed and looked firmly at Fang Yan, saying, "Mr. Fang, don't worry. I will explain it to my parents. I accidentally fell into the water. It has nothing to do with you." Fang Yan shook his head and said, "It has something to do with me. I should have done my job more thoroughly and carefully to ensure your safety. Don't worry, this kind of situation won't happen again." "Thank you, Mr. Fang," Zhu Fang said gratefully. Fang Yan turned to look at the students of Class 9 and said, "Go back to class quickly. Don't let the teacher wait too long. Also, after today's recitation, you should have a deep interest in the poem, Farewell to Cambridge Again, right? Go back and find more famous experts to interpret it, as well as Su Jima's mood and state of mind when he wrote this poem. That way, you will have a more comprehensive and systematic understanding of this poem. Consider this my homework for you. I can also tell you frankly that I won't check it." Huang Haoren walked over to Fang Yan and said, "Mr. Fang, are you all right?" Fang Yan patted him on the shoulder and said with a smile, "What could happen to me?" "Exactly. What could happen to Mr. Fang?" Zheng Guodong squeezed out from behind the crowd and said with a face full of joy, "The most serious thing is to be expelled from school. What's the big deal? Isn't it, Mr. Fang?" "Exactly. Mr. Fang is such a talented person. Where can't he find a job to support his family? If he leaves Vermilion Bird, he might even be able to find a school to be a teacher in." Li Yang added insult to injury. "Mr. Fang, don't worry. We will miss you." Chen Tao's face almost cramped from laughing. This guy was too funny. He originally wanted to attract attention by sensationalism, but he didn't expect to lose his reputation and be expelled from school. Jing Guodong, you've gone too far, Huang Haoren said angrily. Exactly. How can you talk to Mr. Fang like this? Zhu Fang accused. Old Zheng, don't go too far. Mr. Fang is quite a good person. Zhao Lei and Zheng Guodong's friends didn't stand on their side. What? You can't stand it anymore? Zheng Guodong sneered. If you can't stand it, find a way to make him stay. Exactly. A bunch of mouth cannons. Li Yang shouted. He had already received the news that Fang Yen would leave this time. Fang Yen stared coldly at Zheng Guodong and said, You think you've won by driving me away? What do you think? Zheng Guodong said with a smile. Don't tell me you've won? You've already lost. Haven't you noticed yet? How did we lose? Without a good teacher like me, it will be the biggest regret of your life. Although you're not willing to admit it now, haha, it's really funny. What's so funny about laughing? Let's fight according to the rules of Jianghu. Fang Yen looked at him with a smile. Zheng Guodong couldn't laugh anymore. Li Yang and Shen Tao couldn't help but take a step back. They were scared by Fang Yen. You see, I'm not wrong, right? Fang Yen said. If I were your teacher with your IQ, it would be difficult for me to let you receive any knowledge education, but more or less, it would give you some courage, Teacher Fang Yen. Fang Yen. Zheng Jing's shout came from outside. Fang Yen walked to the door and asked with a smile, Director Jing, you're looking for me? Zheng Jing looked at Fang Yen with a strange look and said coldly, Principal Lu is looking for you. Okay, I'll go now. Fang Yen nodded. But he had some doubts in his heart. Although Zheng Jing looked down on him before because of Principal Lu Chaoga, he was more or less close to him. What happened today? Was his chrysanthemum raped or extorted to spend money? When Fang Yen and Zheng Jing walked away, Zheng Guodong said coldly to the students of the 9th class, Don't blame me for not telling you in advance. It's better to stay away from that bastard. He has been expelled from the school, and I still want to get along with you all day long. If you anger me, you'll have to bear the consequences. Don't tell me the answer, let me guess first. Fang Yen walked around the corner, looking like he was thinking hard. Is this 100 birds looking up to the phoenix? No, it doesn't look like it. There aren't as many kinds of flowers. This is called a sky full of stars? Also not. Although there are stars in the sky, the number is not enough to describe it as a sky full of stars. Yes, I remember. This is a pig dish. All kinds of seasonings are added in, and the taste is very delicious. Is it a pig dish? Lu Xiaoga even had the thought of dying. You pig idiot, no wonder everyone wants to kick you out of the school. Why didn't I raise my hand when voting just now? You call my colorful beauty a pig butchering dish? You are the pig dish. Wrong? Fang Yen asked carefully. Teacher Fang Yen, come and sit here, Lu Chaoga said expressionlessly. Okay. Fang Yen answered. Principal Lu, don't be so polite to me, just call me Xiao Fang. Xiao Fang, it's kind and intimate. Fang Yen was very satisfied with this title. Xiao Fang, I'll call you Fang Yen. Lu Chaoga really couldn't call him that. Is that girl okay? She's fine. She was just accidentally startled. Are you all right? I'm fine, Fang Yen said. Isn't she sitting in front of you in one piece? You are fired, Lu Chaoga said. Fang Yen was shocked and asked anxiously, Are you still giving me my salary for these 2 days? Shouldn't you care more about your students? Lu Chaoga raised her eyebrows and reminded him. I care about them very much, Fang Yen said. Is my salary paid by the month or by the day? According to the labor law, you have to compensate me for 3 months' salary when you fire me, right? Otherwise, I will sue you for illegal labor treatment. Lu Chaoga felt it was really difficult to communicate with him. The issue we are discussing is very important. Principal Lu, you can't keep silent at this time. Fang Yen urged. You will make me have a bad guess. I don't know if they will give you 2 days' salary or not. I don't know if they will give you 3 months' salary. Lu Chaoga tried to make her eyes look directly at Fang Yan's face that made people want to punch him and said, I quit. Fang Yan was quiet. After a long time he asked, Is it because of me? Also not. It's not easy to do things in China. Fang Yan smiled. Lu Chaoge frowned and said, "What else did Jing Jing say to you?" Fang Yan pointed to the bookcase behind Lu Chaoge and said, "It's all in English and French, which proves that your English and French are very good. People like this usually have a background of studying abroad. In addition, I saw your resume on the school's official website. You are the education queen of American high school, but when you come back to China, you hit walls everywhere. It must be a very bad feeling, isn't it? You understand everything." "I don't understand what I shouldn't understand," Fang Yan said. That's right. Lu Chaoge decided to let go of her modesty and have a good talk with Fang Yan. The things this young man had brought her surprises again and again. Of course, there were also scares. "Your thing is just a prelude. The real reason why I quit is because this school is too conservative. They invited me back just to set up a signboard to tell the outside world that their school can accommodate talents, and the best high school teachers in the United States are also hired by them with high salaries. But when I have any ideas, they restrict me in every way, so that my hands and feet are tied, and I can't do anything. So when you see me, it's like you see a bright light in a direction?" Fang Yan asked shamelessly. "I am the star in the sky, the navigation tower in the sea, and the guide for you to reach the other side?" "Yes." Lu Chaoge resisted the urge to vomit and said with gritted teeth. "You support me because you see the hope of reform in me," Fang Yan continued. "You want me to help you charge and break through the enemy lines, to tear open holes in their solid camps and rigid minds. In fact, we are the same kind of people." "No, you are my people," Lu Chaoge corrected Fang Yan's statement. Fang Yan thought about it and said warily, "You won't ask me to provide bedtime service, right? I am a man of principle. If the price is not fair enough, even if you are my boss, I will refuse." Chapter 25. Fang Yan. Lu Chaoge finally couldn't help but throw a magazine in front of her at him. "I mean, you are working for me. You fight for me, and I provide security for you from behind so that you won't be attacked." Fang Yan grabbed the magazine in his hand and said, "But you didn't protect me. I was killed." "As compensation, I chose to die with you," Lu Chaoge said. Many people were thinking about what tacit understanding was. Tacit understanding was knowing each other's secrets without saying a word. Fang Yan knew Lu Chaoge's needs, so he trusted her to protect his back. Lu Chaoge also knew Fang Yan's character, so she stood up to protect him again and again. This time, the wind and rain were heavy, and she couldn't protect Fang Yan. Fang Yan was fired, and she also submitted her resignation. "You're too emotional. Something happened?" Fang Yan said with a smile. "You can still continue to wait. Wait for a better person or a better opportunity. We Huaxia people are used to waiting, and we think that forbearance is the supreme virtue." Lu Chaoge shook her head. "But time waits for no man. When the right person comes, when the right opportunity comes, maybe I won't have the ability and energy to do things anymore. I should do the best things at the best age and rest well when I'm old." "What's your plan?" Fang Yan asked. "Find another opportunity," Lu Chaoge said. "Then can you help me ask about my salary before you leave?" Fang Yan asked. When Jiang Qin returned home with her school bag, she saw Fang Yan squatting by the courtyard washing clothes. She tiptoed over and suddenly shouted behind Fang Yan. Ah! Just when she was about to give Fang Yan a big scare, Fang Yan suddenly turned around and hit her on the head. Jiang Qin covered his forehead, which was hurt by Fang Yan's knock, and said angrily, "Hey, how can you do this? How could you do that?" Fang Yan asked. "What happened to me? You want to scare me from behind. But I didn't scare you. You even hit me, that's because I'm vigilant." Jiang Qin wrinkled his nose and asked, "Hey, why did you come back so early?" "Because I don't have classes this afternoon." "Even if there's no class, you have to wait until the students are out of school, right?" Jiang Qin chuckled. "You skipped work early? It's not that I'm bragging." Fang Yan picked up the clothes in his hand from the bucket, unscrewed the water, and hung them on the clothes hanger. "Because of my excellent teaching quality, the school's leaders allowed me to get off work early." "Really?" If you don't believe me, you can go to Rosefinch Secondary and ask around, Fang Yan said proudly. Who doesn't know that I, Fang Yan, am the #1 person? Why don't I believe it at all? Jiang Qin shook his head and sighed. Fang Yan, call me Mr. Fang. Teacher Fang Yan, you have the face of a liar, don't you know? Really? Fang Yan looked at the mouth of the well. No. The facial features are quite good. Jiang Qin suddenly thought of something and said, Teacher Fang Yan, are you free tonight? Aren't I going to tutor you? Of course. Jiang Qin nodded. In name, it's tutoring. In reality? Accompany me to a place, Jiang Qin said. But Fang Yan rolled his eyes and turned to leave. Tonight, a girl in our class is celebrating her birthday. She invited our classmates to a bar to play. There are a lot of beautiful girls there. Girls nowadays, they're so young and they're already so naughty. Fang Yan was very angry. What bar? I'll go and teach them a lesson. The corners of Jiang Qin's mouth curled into a faint sneer as he said, just cooperate obediently. When the time comes, I'll take you there. Let me be clear with you in advance. Although they are your classmates, when I criticize and educate them, you can't stop me. As a teacher, I have my own principles and bottom line. You should check if you have underwear first. Jiang Qin said sarcastically and ran into the house with his backpack. Fang Yan touched his crotch. It was cold inside. Girls nowadays even know that the teacher doesn't wear underwear. This is too much. Fang Yan was no longer a teacher at Rosefinch Secondary, but he still enjoyed the treatment of a Rosefinch Secondary teacher. At least, it was like this at Sister Li's house. In order to buy Fang Yan's heart and let Fang Yan tutor her daughter, Sister Li made a more sumptuous meal tonight. Fried beef ribs, pickled intestines, scrambled eggs with tomatoes, minced vegetables with garlic, and a big bowl of white sea soup. Poor mothers-in-law. No, poor mothers-in-law. Fang Yan was full of guilt while eating. He thought to himself, I should take some time to teach this little girl. I don't know how bad her language results are. Jiang Qin had a small appetite. He put down his bowl and chopsticks and ran upstairs. When Fang Yan was full, Jiang Qin came down with his backpack and said to Jiang Day and Sister Li, Dad, Mom, I'm going to Mr. Fang's house to tutor me. Sister Li couldn't stop smiling. She nodded and said, Don't be too late and disturb Mr. Fang's rest. Then he turned to Fang Yan and said, Fang Yan, thank you. Jiang Day raised his glass and said gratefully, Mr. Fang, let's drink. Auntie Li slapped him and scolded, You drunkard who hasn't had enough to drink. Teacher Fang still needs to tutor his daughter. What if she gets drunk? Jiang Day laughed and didn't say anything. Fang Yan had a good impression of this man. He smiled at him and said, Brother Jiang, don't worry. I'll tutor Jiang Qin well. Jiang Qin rolled his eyes and didn't agree with Fang Yan's words. Fang Yan opened the door of his room, and Jiang Qin followed him in with his backpack. Jiang Qin glanced around and said, I'm going to use the bathroom first. It's just tutoring. Fang Yan said hesitantly, You don't need to take a bath, do you? Jiang Qin was so angry that he laughed and said, You want to be a teacher with this kind of ideological awareness? You don't even let children go. Fang Yan felt that he was wronged. He kindly reminded her that she didn't need to take a bath. How could it be, not let go? Don't peek. Jiang Qin instructed her, then slammed the bathroom door shut with a bang while carrying his backpack. Soon, there was a rustling sound inside. I hate it when people come to challenge my weakness. Fang Yan said snappily. What did you say? Jiang Qin's ears were sharp and asked. I said come out quickly. We're going to start tutoring. Fang Yan said. He had to find a way to improve this girl's academic performance. Jiang Qin was silent. After a while, the door of the bathroom was pushed open from the inside. Jiang Qin stood at the door, which made Fang Yan have a ridiculous feeling of time travel. Is this still Jiang Qin? She completely subverted Fang Yan's previous understanding of her. What was Jiang Qin like before? She wore a blue school uniform with long hair or a ponytail. Her eyes were bright and her appearance was delicate and lovely. Although she was a little weird, She was very obedient and sensible in front of her parents. She was a standard girl who met the aesthetic standards of a middle school student. Now, Xianxia wore a small black skirt, a white sleeveless t-shirt, and a small cobweb coat. Black stockings wrapped around her slender and sexy legs, and the high heels revealed a mature temptation that was very incongruous with her age. Her lips were bright red as if they were dripping blood. Her eyelashes were curved because she wore contact lenses. In such a short time, a pure and beautiful girl became a nightclub princess? Fang Yan heard the sound of something breaking in his heart. After a long time, Fang Yan remembered and asked, What are you going to do? Didn't I tell you that I'm going to take you to my classmate's birthday party? Come on, change clothes. Change clothes? Fang Yan asked. Xianxia pointed to the Chinese tunic suit on Fang Yan and said, Are you going to wear this to go out with me? It's too old-fashioned. Where can I put my face? Fang Yan tried hard not to fly into a rage. This damn girl, I'm a dignified high school teacher, and I'm going to attend a classmate's party with a little kid. If others know, where can I put my face? Xianxia rummaged through Fang Yan's room and said helplessly, Don't you have a reliable set of clothes? My clothes are quite reliable. Fang Yan said. I don't have unreliable clothes. When Fang Yan ran away from home, in order not to arouse his family's suspicion, he wore a long robe and swaggered out. The boys and teachers of Rosefinch Secondary all wore buttonless Chinese tunic suits, which were specially purchased by him in order to be a teacher. Now he only had these 2 sets of clothes, and he didn't even have time to buy a change of underwear. Forget it. Xianxia was really disappointed with Fang Yan. This one, although it's old-fashioned, it doesn't look wretched. Fang Yan really wanted to cry. Her expectations of herself were so low that they were beyond tragic. Xianxia. Fang Yan shouted. What? Xianxia ran to the window and glanced outside. Keep your voice down. Don't let my parents hear you. I want to talk to you. Fang Yan said. In Jianghu, people who received a drop of water from others would definitely repay it with a spring. He had eaten 2 meals from Sister Li. How many drops of water was that equivalent to a drop of water? Therefore, he couldn't just watch Sister Li's daughter go astray. If you want to persuade me to study hard and make progress every day, and not to go out in this kind of boring party in the middle of the night dressed so sexily, then please keep your mouth shut. Fang Yan could only shut up. She had said everything she wanted to say. Let's go. Xianxia stepped forward and held Fang Yan's arm. Mr. Fang, the beauties are waiting anxiously. Fang Yan's eyes flashed, and he said fiercely, I'm going to teach them. Chapter 26. People liked to pursue things they didn't have. For example, children liked to wear adults' shoes, and Xianxia liked to wear lipstick and eyeliner to pretend to be mature and sexy. They knew that youth was their greatest asset. They just wanted to make some changes. This was a necessary stage in life. Therefore, Fang Yan didn't stop them. Instead, he chose to be obedient and accompany them. The taxi stopped in front of the bar. Fang Yan turned to look at Xianxia and said, You promised me, after tonight, you will accept my tutoring and study hard to improve your language results. I know, Mr. Fang, Xianxia said sweetly. The taxi driver was shocked. He peeked at the 2 of them in the rearview mirror and wondered what kind of relationship they had. A male teacher bringing a female student to a bar. Wasn't this world too messy? Fang Yan took out his wallet to pay the fare. When the taxi driver gave him change, he asked with a smile, Which school are you a teacher at? Number 1 middle school, Fang Yan answered casually. Sigh, this school is good. The taxi driver sighed and sped away. He had already made up his mind that he would never let his son apply for number 1 middle school. Pirate Bar. It was said that it was the favorite bar of Huaqing students. It was obviously not the first time Xianxia came to such a place. He led Fang Yan in with ease. They're in a private room. Let's go over. The bar was too noisy. Xianxia leaned forward and whispered into Fang Yan's ear. Fang Yan nodded and looked around. This bar catered to the students' preferences. There were private rooms for friends to meet and dance to their heart's content. In addition, it wasn't expensive, so the students didn't feel pressured. Most of the people around were young. Although they had changed or put on makeup, Fang Yen could still tell that they were students from their eyes and movements. There were also some unscrupulous men mixed in. Obviously, they wanted to take advantage of these young female students. Fang Yan's heart twitched as he watched. Why did these men have no bottom line? Let's go. Jiang Qin noticed that Fang Yan's gaze had been lingering on the girls who were wearing revealing clothes. He retreated and pinched Fang Yan's arm in an unfriendly manner. Be gentle. Fang Yan frowned. Put on your clothes properly, your shoulders are showing. Tisk. Jiang Qin sneered. Which woman doesn't show some skin when she goes to a bar? He would be embarrassed to greet people if he didn't show his skin. Jiang Qin dragged Fang Yan and pushed open the door of a private room with familiarity. Then all the men and women inside exclaimed. Big sis is here. Sister Qin, you're late. You have to drink as punishment. Yo, our beautiful campus belle even brought a handsome guy. Nongpa, you guys are going to be disappointed. Beautiful campus belle? Fang Yan glanced at Jiang Qin, who was standing beside him, and thought that this girl was very popular at school. But what was going on with Big Sister? Could it be that Jiang Qin was the oldest among this group of students? It didn't look like it. This is Fang Yan. Jiang Qin held Fang Yan's arm and introduced him to the surrounding students. My uncle. My uncle? Fang Yan's face darkened. I'm not an uncle, okay? What made him even angrier was that, under the influence of Korean dramas, the word uncle had a meaning that made people's imagination run wild. She introduced him as her uncle. Did she want others to misunderstand that they were boyfriend and girlfriend? Fang Yan felt that he had been deceived. Previously, he only said that he would accompany her to a place, but he didn't mention the issue of role-playing. Jiang Qin is my niece. Fang Yan explained. He wouldn't be fooled. The dozens of male and female students in the private room were stunned for a moment, and then they roared with laughter. Qin, your uncle is so humorous. Yes, he's also handsome. And he's wearing a Chinese tunic suit. I like mature men. It's not like that. Fang Yan was about to cry. His explanation made the little girls believe that he was Jiang Qin's boyfriend. However, he really wasn't. He was a tutor, a teacher. Jiang Qin looked at the beautiful girl standing in the middle of the crowd, wearing a white princess dress and a silver crown on her head, and said, Yuan Lin, happy birthday. As she spoke, she handed over a gift box wrapped in beautiful wrapping paper as a birthday gift. This was prepared in advance, and Fang Yan didn't know about it. Thank you, Qin. Yuan Lin took the gift box, but her eyes stared at Jiang Qin's face without blinking, and said with a smile, Qin, you're ahead of us. I thought you didn't fall in love in middle school. Feelings are the most difficult thing to guess. Jiang Qin smiled sweetly. In the past, I also thought I wouldn't fall in love with someone. But when your life appears in front of you, you will have a feeling that it is him, that it is that person. You want to be with him, you want to never be separated from him. This is love, right? Yuan Lin said with infinite emotion. When you speak, I can smell the scent of love. Yes, this is love. Life can't bear the weight, but we have to grit our teeth and hold on. For love, for our lover. I really envy you. You will also have such a day. Meet the right person, and hold hands with each other for the rest of your life. Seeing Jiang Qin and tonight's birthday girl, Yuan Lin, talking about their understanding and attitude towards love and life, Fang Yan felt a little deranged. Was this an act? Or was Jiang Qin deceiving him? She didn't bring him to a birthday party, but to the drama club, and now they were practicing their lines? Yuan Lin finally turned her eyes to Fang Yan. She took the initiative to reach out her little hand to Fang Yan and said, Hello, I am Yuan Lin, Jiang Qin's classmate and friend. Fang Yan reached out and shook hands with the little girl. Don't misunderstand, I am actually not Jiang Qin's boyfriend. Yuan Lin winked mischievously at Jiang Qin and said enviously, Your uncle really knows how to protect you. I really envy him. This is the advantage of finding a mature old man. He knows how to love others. Fang Yen felt that there was indeed a gap that was difficult to cross between him and them. The girls warmly welcomed Fang Yen, but the boys looked at Fang Yen with hostility. Originally, they all regarded Jiang Qin as the dish on their table, although they didn't eat and others didn't have the chance to eat. However, now that the plate was taken away by a country bumpkin who came out of nowhere, their mentality was naturally unbalanced. Jiang Qin, you are late. You have to drink 3 bottles of wine as punishment. You can't forget this. If you can't drink, you can ask your uncle to help you drink. Uncle, how old are you? You must be uncomfortable with us young people, right? Hearing them laughing at his old age, Fang Yen wanted to throw out his work ID and shouted, I am a teacher. Take out your student ID and copy your name 1,000 times. Unfortunately, he had only been a teacher at Rosefinch Secondary for a short time, and the school didn't have time to give him a work ID. Most importantly, he didn't have the opportunity to get a work ID at Rosefinch Secondary. He was fired by the school. Jiang Qin turned to look at Fang Yen and said, Uncle, sorry to trouble you. I can't drink very well. Fang Yen said embarrassedly, It's only 3 bottles. Don't worry, the alcohol content of beer is low, it won't get you drunk. A fair-skinned boy came over with 3 open bottles of beer. He cut his hair like Ruko Akid and wore ear studs, looking quite fashionable and handsome. He was Nong Pe, a strong competitor to chase after Jiang Qin. Uncle, this is the rule of our party. You don't want to see Jiang Qin break the rule, right? She is a famous big sister in our school. Can I try? Fang Yen said hesitantly. He took a bottle of beer, raised his head, and gulped it down. So handsome. The girls applauded. Nong Pe handed over the second bottle. I really can't. Fang Yen wiped the alcohol stain on the corner of his mouth, took the second bottle of beer, and gulped it down. Soon, the second bottle of beer was finished. One more bottle. Nong Pe said. I'm really going to get drunk if I drink any more. Fang Yen said as he took the third bottle of beer. Uncle, uncle, uncle. The girls applauded and cheered. Hearing the girls' clear and melodious cheers, Fang Yen felt that he suddenly became a few years younger. After the third bottle of beer was finished, Jiang Qin took a tissue from the box and wiped Fang Yan's mouth. She said, Sit down and rest for a while. Do you want to eat something? Don't do this. Fang Yen stopped her, letting a little girl wipe his mouth. He had to say that it was really enjoyable. But Fang Yan's heart was full of guilt. No, Jiang Qin said. This is what I should do. Seeing that the 3 bottles of beer didn't knock down Fang Yen, the boys didn't give up. After they discussed for a while, Nong Pe took the lead and walked over. Uncle, this is the first time we meet. I propose a toast to you. Nong Pe raised his glass and said, Taking turns? Fang Yen didn't immediately accept the challenge, but looked at him with a smile and said, It's not fun to drink like this. Why don't we play some small games? What games? Nong Pe asked. Drinking games, couplets, dice, arm wrestling are fine. Fang Yen said. Nong Pe thought about it and said, Then let's roll the dice to see who's bigger. Each of us will bet 3 rounds with you, 1 dice to see who's bigger. The one with the smaller number will drink. They had a lot of people, and each of them would play 3 rounds with Fang Yen. According to the winning and losing ratio, they had to make Fang Yen drunk. You're young, I'll listen to you. Fang Yen nodded. Seeing that there was a game to be played, everyone gathered around. Can you do it? Jiang Qin pulled Fang Yen and asked with concern. Men can't say they can't do it. Wang Lin giggled at the side. Girls liked excitement, and they liked this kind of scene. I'll try to win as little as possible. Fang Yen said. Nong Pe sneered in his heart. I'll let you go home lying down tonight. Chapter 27. The first round, Fang Yen versus Nong Pe. Nong Pe shook the dice first and got a 5, which was not a small number. Nong Pe glanced at Fang Yen proudly and said, It's your turn. Fang Yen took the dice cup and said, Looks like I'm going to lose. Bang, after shaking a few times, he gently covered the dice cup on the table. 6, 6, 6. Jiang Qin leaned on Fang Yan's side and cheered him on. The girl's body was soft and her hair had a sweet fragrance. It really challenged a man's weakness. You said it. Open it for me, Fang Yan said with a smile. Okay. Jiang Qin suddenly opened the dice cup and immediately shouted in surprise. It's really 6. It's really 6. Why is it really 6? It's mainly because you said it well, Fang Yan said with a smile. Nong Po was not convinced. In the second round, Nong Po got a 4. The number was not high, but it was not low either. You can win him if you get a 5. Jiang Qin said to Fang Yan. You're really good at math. Fang Yan praised. Of course. Jiang Qin looked proud and didn't care about the other meaning in Fang Yan's words. He shook the dice cup a few times and said, Since you want a 5, you can open it. Sure. Jiang Qin lifted the lid of the dice cup. Then she shouted in surprise again, 5. It's really 5. Ah, I am so good. You all call me the king of gamblers. Nong Po drank again. The third round. Nong Po's eyes were already angry. He lost 2 rounds in a row, which made him lose face. He took the dice and shook it for a while. With a bang, he slammed the dice cup on the table and shouted, 6. He opened the dice cup and it was really 6. Brother Nong, good job. Brother Nong, you will win this time. Yes, unless he also gets a 6. The boys finally saw the hope of winning and cheered for Nong Po. Fang Yan smiled, took the dice and shook it a few times. He said to Jiang Qin, It's still up to you. It's not good. Jiang Qin said hesitantly. What if I lose? Drink if you lose, Fang Yan said. Drink if you lose. Fang Yan said. We've won twice in a row, so we should lose once to be fair. Then I'll really open it? Yes. 6, Jiang Qin shouted in a tender voice. She suddenly opened the dice cup, and then her entire person was stunned on the spot. 6 dots. The 6 red dots were so dazzling. I let you lose, so why did you ask for 6? Fang Yan scolded. Fang Yan said, I said. Fang is Fang. Fang is Pe, but my luck is really too good. Maybe it's because I'm the goddess of luck. It's a draw, Nong Po said disappointedly. Let's make another bet. He took the dice and held them in his palm. After praying for a while, he put the dice into the dice cup. Wah! There was a long shaking, and then a sudden uncovering, 1 point. Nong Po's eyes were dull, and the flesh on his face kept twitching. God, please don't play with me, okay? Fang Yan glanced at Jiang Qin and said, Little sister, I think you are very talented. Why don't you learn gambling from me? Jiang Qin rolled her eyes at him. Her tender hands took the dice cup and gently shook it a few times. When it was uncovered, there were 2 dots. It was just a little bigger than Nong Po. Fang Yan looked at Jiang Qin earnestly and said, If you win, you win. But you only win a little. Don't you know how insulting it is? One must be honest. Didn't the teachers in your school teach you? This was too much. I can't even stand it. Nong Po had the urge to vomit 3 liters of blood. Another 2 boys went up to challenge Fang Yan, but none of them could win. Fang Yan didn't drink a glass of wine, but he made those boys drunk. Uncle, are you cheating? A boy stared at Fang Yan with dissatisfaction and said, Yes, how can you keep winning? Must be cheating. Fang Yan smiled and said, I'm willing to bet and I'm willing to lose. If you think I'm cheating and find evidence of me cheating, I'll drink all the remaining wine in this room. No more dice, Nong Po said. We don't play this much, so we're not as experienced as you. Arm wrestling, we want to arm wrestle with you. That's not good, right? Fang Yan said. What? Are you afraid? Nong Po said mockingly. You're older than us, and you've eaten more than us. You have a big advantage. That's what I mean. My advantage is so obvious. It's not good to bully you, right? Fang Yan turned to look at Jiang Qin and asked, Then I'll try with them? Beat them? Jiang Qin waved his small fist and said, I'll try my best. Fang Yan said, What's there to talk about? We're all classmates. For some reason, when they heard Fang Yan say the words, I'll try my best, many people at the scene felt their hearts jerk and felt a chill. Nongpa carefully looked at Fang Yan's height, weight, and 3 measurements. He thought that not every boy on his side could be a match for Fang Yan. If everyone competed with him separately, it would be his side that suffered. Both sides will send one person to fight, and the loser will drink. Nongpa proposed a condition that was beneficial to his side. Fang Yan smiled and said, "That's not good, right? There are 6 or 7 contestants on your side, and I'm the only one on my side. I can only send myself. What do you want?" Fang Yan thought for a moment and said, "How about this? If I win, everyone on your side has to drink 3 glasses of wine. If I lose, I'll drink 6 glasses alone." Nongpa hesitated for a moment, then nodded and said, "No problem." He turned and shouted, "Fatty!" A boy answered in a low voice. Fatty wasn't small, on the contrary, he was very big. Looking at the guy who was like a small mountain sitting in front of Fang Yan, Jiang Qin had a bad feeling. "Nongpa, you guys are cheating," Jiang Qin said snappily. "Fatty isn't in our class. Can't he participate if he's not in our class?" Nongpa said with a smile. "Fatty is in our team. Don't compete with them," Jiang Qin said to Fang Yan. "Fatty is a famous strongman in our school. In every school sports meeting he's always the champion of javelin and discus." "Is that so?" Fang Yan looked at Nongpa bitterly and said, "You guys don't want me to drink on purpose, do you? Isn't this too disloyal? I thought we were friends." "If you bet, you have to accept defeat." "Who said that again?" Nongpa laughed. The other boys also had a wretched expression that said, "I'm cheating you." "I said it. A man would rather die standing than live kneeling." Fang Yan said loudly, "I'll compete with him. I'll be the referee." Wang Lin said enthusiastically, "When I say start, you two start. I have no objection." Fang Yan said, "I also have no objection." Fatty admired Wang Lin very much. Seeing that she was willing to join, his fat face flushed with excitement. If he won against this annoying guy in front of the goddess of his dreams, then, in the eyes of the goddess, his fat body would no longer be fat, but strength. In fact, Fatty was really thinking too much. In the eyes of the goddess, fat would always be fat. "Ready," Wang Lin said with a sweet voice. Fang Yan and Fatty held each other's hands, their elbows resting on the table. "Begin," Wang Lin shouted loudly. Her tender lotus-like arms were still swinging down forcefully. Fang Yan didn't move, and neither did Fatty. "I said start," Wang Lin reminded. "What's wrong with these two people? They didn't cooperate at all." She said start, but they didn't use their strength. "It has started," Fang Yan said. "Ah." Everyone didn't understand what was going on. These two people didn't move. What kind of start was this? Very quickly they found some clues. Fatty's fat face turned red. Fatty's red face was sweating. Fatty's sweaty face was covered with sweat. He gritted his teeth, his expression was ferocious, and he used all his strength. Even an idiot could see that Fatty had used all his strength, even the strength to drink milk. However, this guy was sitting there steadily. His face was not red, and his heart was not beating, as if nothing had happened. Everyone looked at Fang Yan in shock. What was this guy's background? How could he be so strong? Puff! Fatty used too much strength and held his breath for too long. The wine he just drank sprayed out, splashing on his and Fang Yan's hands and wrists. "This guy!" Fang Yan laughed. "He dared to use hidden weapons." "Poochie!" Everyone laughed. Fatty's red face was even redder. He was embarrassed to continue and said, I lost, I am not your opponent." Fang Yan loosened his hand and said, "Thank you for letting me win. I was almost plotted against by you." Fatty's face turned purple, and he rushed into the bathroom without looking back. Jiang Qin laughed and gasped. He took out a tissue from his bag and wiped the back of Fang Yan's hand. He said, "You are so bad. How can you be so bad, Uncle? You are so cute. I really like you." "Yes, you are so cute. I really want to pinch your face." "What a thick face, it's rare in my life." Wang Lin looked at Fang Yan with her beautiful big eyes and said, "I also want to find an uncle like you, Jiang Qin quickly held Fang Yan's arm and said, "Don't compete with me." The melodramatic scene of two girls competing for a man played out in front of them, and the boys were heartbroken. In their hearts, uncle had become the most detestable form of address and group. Fang Yan stood up and said to everyone, "I am really not Jiang Qin's boyfriend. Don't bully me anymore." The boys felt like they had been stabbed in the chest again. "Damn, you should touch your chest when you talk. You should follow your conscience. Who is bullying who? We can't get you drunk, we can't win you in dice, and we can't win you in arm wrestling. You are so old, will you die if you let us win? Uncle, you are really a monster." Chapter 28. The farthest distance in the world was that Fang Yan was sitting at one end of the box, and the boys were sitting at the other end of the box. No one dared to provoke Fang Yan anymore. They all stayed far away. They finally saw the insidious nature of this guy. He said he couldn't do it, but it proved again and again that they were just showing off. It was the same for shaking dice and arm wrestling. No one was stupid enough to play drinking games with him. It was fine if the enemy insulted them, but they couldn't insult themselves. The boundary between Chu and Han was clear. No one drank, no one sang, and no one even talked. Wang Lin, the birthday girl, saw that the atmosphere in the box was a little cold, so she stood up and said, "Everyone, don't just sit there. Let's go outside and dance for a while." But everyone agreed. The outside was more lively, and they also needed another way to relax their bodies and minds. It was too depressing here, and they couldn't breathe freely. Thus, a large group of people rushed to the outer dance floor in a majestic manner. The music was deafening, and it was hard to hear them clearly. The only way to communicate was with hand gestures. Fang Yan was pulled to the corner by Jiang Qin, and the other boys and girls also scattered in groups of 3 to 5 or in pairs. Fang Yan was not good at this kind of dance. He stood there like a straight telephone pole. Jiang Qin was much more active. Her body danced with the rhythm, and her small chest rose and fell. It seemed that she was very experienced. "Let's dance together." Jiang Qin lay on Fang Yan's shoulder and shouted in his ear. "You play," Fang Yan said. "I'll go to the box." Fang Yan turned around and was about to leave, but he was pulled by Jiang Qin. Her 2 small hands grabbed Fang Yan's 2 big hands and pulled him to the dance floor with all her might, making him sway to the rhythm of her dance. Fang Yan shook his head, indicating that he didn't know how. Jiang Qin's lips moved. Fang Yan understood what he meant. "I'll teach you." Fang Yan had no choice but to accept Jiang Qin's arrangement. There was an advantage to being in such a place. As long as you moved casually, people would think that you were dancing. After seeing this clearly, Fang Yan became very talented. At this moment, a quarrel broke out in the crowd. The bystanders naturally formed a circle, surrounding the 2 parties who were in conflict in the middle. Fang Yan and Jiang Qin originally wanted to watch the show, but they found that one of the parties in conflict was an acquaintance of theirs. "It's Wang Lin and the others," Jiang Qin said as he took Fang Yan's hand and squeezed through the crowd. There was a commotion on the dance floor, and the DJ turned off the music. "What happened?" Jiang Qin stood beside Wang Lin and asked. Wang Lin pointed to a bald man opposite her and said angrily, "He touched my butt." "Little girl, you need evidence to speak." "When did I touch your butt? If you don't have evidence, I'll sue you for slander," the bald man said with a smile. "Or are you looking forward to me touching your butt because I'm handsome?" The bald man was wearing a fancy t-shirt, and the back of his hand was full of tattoos. Beside him stood several burly men. At a glance, one could tell that these people were working in the underworld. Hearing the bald man's words, the brothers around him all laughed out loud. "No wonder I woke up early this morning and the magpies were chirping above my head. It turns out that Brother Wolf has a happy event. This little girl is so tender. She's obviously Brother Wolf's favorite food. No, it should be said that a strong man like Brother Wolf is a girl's dish. You hooligans." Wang Lin's eyes were red as she pointed at the bald man and scolded him. The bald man laughed and turned around to say to his brothers, "Listen, I'm not wrong, am I? This girl is interested in me. She even investigated my profession. Yes, we are hooligans. Men are not hooligans, women are not crazy. I am a hooligan and I am proud. You guys are too much, Nongpa pointed at Brother Wolf and shouted. What kind of hero is bullying a girl? Apologize to us. Call the police, let's call the police. Wang Lin was beautiful and was one of the goddesses in the eyes of many boys. She was extremely popular at number 26 high school. Now that she was being bullied on the dance floor, the boys naturally stood up to defend their goddess. Apologize? What's that? Call the police if you dare. I want to see which school you are from. Does the school care about their students coming to this kind of place to play? Bullying girls is really not a hero. We'll teach you little bastards a lesson too. You want to fight? The boys' blood surged and they all wanted to rush forward. Crack! There was the sound of glass bottles breaking in the middle of the dance floor. A yellow-haired hooligan was holding a bottle of beer in each hand. The two bottles collided, and then he waved the sharp mouths of the bottles and shouted, "Come, come, come, I'll let you bleed." The boys retreated at the same time. They were hot-blooded, but they were more afraid of bleeding. How could these naive junior high school students, who had almost zero social experience, be a match for these hooligans who often licked blood from their blades? What? Are you all afraid? Brother Wolf laughed proudly. You little bastards, why don't you go out and ask around? Do you know who I am? How dare you challenge me? The boys were furious, but they did not dare to go against him again. Who was it that asked me to apologize? Brother Wolf asked. No one answered. Who told me to apologize? Brother Wolf suddenly raised his voice and roared. It's okay if you don't admit it. All of you, come over and kneel in front of me. Kneel in a row. Everyone kiss my leather shoes and say to me, Brother Wolf, I'm sorry, I was wrong. The students looked at each other with ferocious expressions and bloodshot eyes. Come here, the yellow-haired boy shouted with a beer bottle in his hand. Are you deaf? Didn't you hear Brother Wolf's words? We won't do that, Nongpa said through gritted teeth. Although he was afraid, he knew that if he did that, it would become a lifelong shame for them. They would never be able to get rid of the bad name of kneelers. Yes, we will never apologize. If you have the ability, kill us, yell. You have guts. The yellow-haired boy walked toward them with a beer bottle and a dagger. It seems that you won't shed a tear until you see the coffin. I'll show you what I'm made of first. The girls screamed. Some of them wanted to run, but they were surrounded by people and could not escape even if they wanted to. I told you to apologize. Fang Yan stepped forward and stood in front of the yellow-haired boy. What did you say? The yellow-haired boy asked. I told you to apologize. Fang Yan repeated. Harassing underage female students is a crime. Apologizing is too easy for you. Fang Yan. Jiang Qin tugged at Fang Yan's clothes from behind, reminding him not to be rash. Io, someone stood up to save the damsel in distress. Respect. Respect. However, do you know that what you're doing is courting death? Before the yellow-haired boy could say the word death, he had already grabbed the broken bottle and stabbed it toward Fang Yan's chest. Fang Yan stretched out his hand. He stretched out his hand lightly. His palm against the glass looked like he would definitely die. Fang Yan. Jiang Qin stopped him loudly. Whoosh! It was as if everything in the world had suddenly stopped. The music stopped, the speed stopped, the gaze stopped, and even the breathing stopped. The bottle was still in the yellow-haired boy's hand, but the sharp half was clamped by two of Fang Yan's fingers. Crack! A crisp sound rang out. Fang Yan used a bit of force with his two fingers and broke off a piece of the glass as if he was breaking a bread loaf. Crack! Another piece was broken. Crack! The third piece. Fang Yan patted the back of the yellow-haired boy's hand and said, Give me the rest. The yellow-haired boy's mouth opened wide and his pupils dilated. He obediently let go of Fang Yan and let him take the weapon. Jiang Qin was also dumbfounded. Was this really the Fang Yan he knew? The Tai Chi expert who couldn't squeeze into the bus and was stepped on by a middle-aged woman? The Rosefinch secondary language teacher who was forced by her mother to tutor her? Nongpa and his friends were also dumbfounded. This guy, Was he Zhang Nanhai's bodyguard? Was he a Superman hidden among the people? How could he be so powerful? The tears in Yuan Lin's eyes stopped. She looked at Fang Yen with sparkling golden stars in her eyes. This man was so handsome. Fang Yen held a handful of glass fragments in his hand, looked at the bald man and said, "Brother Wolf, right? There has to be a name. I asked you to apologize." "Brother, are you from the underworld?" Brother Wolf stared at Fang Yen and asked. "Don't flatter yourself." Fang Yen felt insulted. "I'm a teacher and you're hooligans. How can we be on the same side?" "Teacher?" Everyone's eyes were on Fang Yan's face. Was this man really a teacher? "Personal teacher," Fang Yen explained to the audience, embarrassed. "I've always been by the students' side to protect their safety. Otherwise, why do you think I came to the bar? No matter who you are with your skills, I'll forget about today's matter," Brother Wolf said. "Brothers, let's go." With that, he turned around and left. For Brother Wolf, it was really a big shame today. He just wanted to eat a student girl, but he didn't expect to kick an iron plate. The students all breathed a sigh of relief. The matter was finally solved perfectly. "Wait," Fang Yen shouted. "This matter can't be paid back." Brother Wolf stopped, looked at Fang Yen fiercely, and asked, "What do you mean? All of you, come here, kneel on the ground, kneel in a row. Everyone kiss their leather shoes or something else. Say I'm sorry, I was wrong," Fang Yen said. Chapter 29. In many people's eyes, it was natural for a bad person to do evil. However, when a good person held a bad person to the standard of a bad person, everyone's eyes became strange. Hearing Fang Yan's words, many people showed a look of disbelief. Asking Brother Wolf to apologize? Is this guy crazy? Brother Wolf also thought that Fang Yen was crazy. He took out a cigarette from his pocket, and naturally, his men next to him came over to help him light it. Puffing out a few smoke bubbles, he squinted his eyes and looked at Fang Yen with his misty eyes. With a vicious expression, he said, "Brat, are you serious? Really, you can't afford to play." "I'm just playing with you," Fang Yen said with a smile. "I'll ask you one last time. What are you doing? Don't let the flood break the temple of the Dragon King and fight among ourselves. Are you crazy? You were born to be a hooligan. Do you think that everyone in the world is a hooligan like you? I've said it before, I'm an honorable teacher." Fang Yen said angrily. "Which school are you from?" "Oh, you want to threaten me?" Fang Yen sneered. "Do you think I'm scared? I'm Fang Huohua, a math teacher at No. 1 Middle School. Go ask around. There's no one in the school who doesn't know me. If you have the ability, come find me at No. 1 Middle School. I'll accompany you anytime. Write it down," Brother Wolf said to the men around him. "Big brother, don't worry. We'll remember it. This kid won't have a good life in the future," one of the men said. They had decided to gather a group of brothers to visit Fang Huohua at No. 1 Middle School every day, so that he wouldn't be able to teach in the school safely. If it didn't work, they would use their big brother to put some pressure on the principal of No. 1 Middle School to kick this teacher out of the school. When meeting a soldier, it was hard to reason with him. When a scholar met a hooligan, he could only blame it on his bad luck. "I'll give you one more chance." Brother Wolf looked at Fang Yen and said, "Say sorry, Brother Wolf, and I'll pretend that I didn't hear what you said just now. Let's call it a night, what do you think?" "If I could say, sorry, to you, I wouldn't have asked you to stay when you were leaving just now." Fang Yen smiled. "I'm a person who cares a lot about face, especially in front of my female students. Do as I say, kneel on the ground, kneel in a row. Everyone should kiss their shoes or something else and say, 'Big brother, I'm sorry, I was wrong.' F***CK, do you want to die?" The hooligans were in an uproar. They were used to being lawless and taking the initiative to bully others. When had they ever been bullied like this? "Brothers, let's F***CK them up and let them bleed. Everyone listen up." A teacher from No. 1 Middle School brought a female student to a bar. "In the future, don't send your own children to be harmed by them. No matter how good his martial arts are, he's still afraid of a kitchen knife. Brother Wolf flicked the ash off his cigarette and looked at Fang Yen with a fake smile. He said, "Do you think that you can show off in front of us just because you know a few moves? I see that you're also a good man, so I kindly advised you. Since you've acted tough, you should take advantage of the heat and go back to F***CK. Do you think we're afraid of you? Since you don't know how to appreciate kindness, then let's not talk anymore." "Half a sentence is really too much," Fang Yen said. "Fight" was just one word. Fang Yen. Jiang Qin pulled Fang Yan's arm from behind, reminding him not to act rashly. These hooligans looked very fierce, and she was worried that Fang Yen would get into trouble. She was the one who brought Fang Yen out. If anything happened to Fang Yen, she would feel very bad. "Do you have to apologize for doing something wrong?" Fang Yen looked at Jiang Qin and asked gently. "Yes, but do you have to be punished for breaking the law?" Fang Yen continued to ask. "Yes, but no buts," Fang Yen said loudly. "If I were your teacher, I would definitely teach you this. You can't be corrupted by riches and honor, and you can't be subdued by force. I hope that my students are people with such integrity." Jiang Qin's eyes were intoxicated, and the blood of Nong Pe and the others, which had just retreated, boiled again. "Mr. Fang is right. Whoever does something wrong has to apologize. That's right. Why are you bullying us? We didn't do anything wrong. They harassed underage girls, send them to jail." The students waved their fists and shouted loudly. If it weren't for Fang Yen standing at the front, they might have rushed up and fought with Brother Wolf and the others. "Of course, the premise is..." Fang Yen waved his hand to signal everyone to be quiet. "Before you do this, you have to secretly measure in your heart whether you are a match for the enemy, or whether there is a peerless master like me who is willing to stand up for the injustice." The shouting stopped abruptly. Everyone's faces were purple and red, and they stared at Fang Yen with shame and anger. The onlookers also condemned, "This teacher is too deceptive. In the future, we must not let our sons, daughters, nephews, nieces, grandchildren go to number 1 middle school. It's okay to bully hooligans, but how can you bully your own students?" Brother Wolf threw the cigarette butt in his hand on the ground and stepped heavily on it with his leather shoes to crush the flame. He spat, looked at Fang Yen, and said, "Well, I won't take advantage of you. Come on, let's practice first." "What do you mean practice?" Fang Yen asked. "It's a casual fight. Whoever knocks the other down wins," Brother Wolf said. Whoosh! Fang Yen rushed in front of Brother Wolf, hooked his right wrist, and controlled Brother Wolf's thick neck in the palm of his hand. His body pressed against Brother Wolf's body as he retreated, and when Brother Wolf was not stable, he pulled him forward. Cling! Brother Wolf's big face slammed into Fang Yan's knee, which had already been raised, and it was a domineering knee strike. Bang! Brother Wolf's body lay limply on the ground, blood spurting from his nose, and he looked terrible. "Is that right?" Fang Yen asked. Brother Wolf could not answer, and the punks did not have the courage to answer. Jiang Qin and her classmates did not know how to answer. 1 second? Or even shorter? They did not see clearly what had happened. Why was Brother Wolf lying on the ground? The audience also expressed that it was too unsatisfying. The speed was too fast, the time was too short, and they did not see a physical fight. They did not see a punch to the flesh. If it was not for free, they would have asked the organizers for a refund. Fang Yen stepped on Brother Wolf's chest and said to the punks, "You guys either sneak away, or I won't make things difficult for you. If you want to take Brother Wolf away, then listen to me, kneel on the ground and say sorry." Thump. Blondie knelt on the ground, hugged Fang Yan's leather shoe, and kissed it, shouting, "Big brother, I'm sorry." "Wrong kiss," Fang Yen said. "Kissed the wrong person?" The blonde looked up at Fang Yen. Fang Yen pointed to Nong Pe and the others and said, "Kiss their shoes, every one of them." "Yes, big brother," Blondie replied. He thought to himself, this guy is really vicious. It's a pity he is not a hooligan. Brother Wolf only asked them to kiss his foot, but this bastard asked them to kiss everyone's feet. The other punks looked at each other and all knelt down. They wanted to run, but if they did, they would not be able to recognize Brother Wolf as their big brother in the future, and they would not be able to establish themselves in the underworld. Big brother, I'm sorry I was wrong. Big brother, I'm sorry I was wrong. It was hard to apologize, but it was also very painful to be apologized to. Nong Pa and the others tried not to look at the punks who were hugging and kissing their feet, but their bodies were trembling slightly. They felt as if they had understood something in their minds. They tried hard to think, but they could not find anything. After the punks completed the apology ceremony, Fang Yen lifted his foot from Brother Wolf's chest and said to Brother Wolf, "Remember clearly, I am Fang Yen from number 1 middle school. No, it's Fang Huohua. Don't find the wrong person." He waved his hand impatiently at the punks and said, "Take him away." The punks rushed forward, picked up Brother Wolf, and ran outside quickly. They even forgot to say a threat like, "There's still time." The security guard in the bar came out and asked a few questions before he was sent away by Fang Yen. They bullied the weak and feared the strong. Fang Yen did not have a good impression of them at all. After this incident, no one was in the mood to play anymore. The girls went to the private room to get their bags and then left the bar under Fang Yen's lead. "Fang Yen, are you really a teacher? Number 1 middle school teacher Fang Huohua? Is that your real name? You're so powerful. Do you know Kung Fu? Can you teach me?" The girls surrounded Fang Yen and asked all kinds of questions, but the boys looked at Fang Yen with evasive eyes. "Hey, what are you doing? I'm warning you, stay away from my uncle. Otherwise, don't blame me for severing all ties with you. Zhao Xiaoman, get your filthy hands off me." Jiang Qin was like a little hen, protecting Fang Yen and not letting those bad friends get close. Fang Yen looked at Nong Po and said, "They will definitely take revenge. If you come out to play in the future, you must be careful." Nong Po looked up at Fang Yen, gritted his teeth, and said firmly, "I won't come to this kind of place again." Fang Yen nodded. He knew that after what happened tonight, these children would be a lot more restrained. It was good for them to maintain a sense of fear for this society, because they had no experience and no ability to deal with such complicated and violent things. Wang Lin walked up to Fang Yen and said gratefully, "Thank you, Fang Yen. If it weren't for you, this is what I should do," Fang Yen said with a smile. "It's my duty to protect the students." "Are you really a teacher at number 1 high school?" "No. That's what I said." Wang Lin breathed a sigh of relief. "Fang Yen, can you give me your cell phone number?" "Hey Wang Lin, what do you want?" Jiang Qin said angrily. "Why do you want his cell phone number? If there's anything, just contact me directly. Hey, don't force me to break up with you." Chapter 30. The weather in Huaqing in September was still very hot. Coming out of the air-conditioned bar, one's skin immediately had a layer of goosebumps upon contact with the outside air. Very quickly, the heat and sweat mixed together, forming a layer of invisible film. It was like a cocoon wrapped in silk, making people feel suffocated and stifled. Fang Yen preferred to stay at home at night like this, taking a cold shower and lying in bed with a book or standing in front of the window with a telescope. The moon decorates your window, you decorate other people's dreams. Look, poets have so much life experience. Fang Yen and Jiang Qin walked side by side on the road. Jiang Qin didn't speak, and neither did Fang Yen. Jiang Qin walked with her head down, kicking a small stone and rolling it forward. Fang Yen couldn't help but laugh. She really looked like a child. Of course, in Fang Yan's heart, she was indeed a child. "What are you laughing at?" Jiang Qin turned to look at Fang Yen, her bright eyes without any impurities. It was good to be young. Her eyes were as clear as a mirror. "Nothing." Fang Yen shook her head. "Don't you want to say something?" Jiang Qin asked. "Say what? What don't you want to ask?" "Ask what?" "Tell me, if you weren't here today, how would we deal with this?" Jiang Qin asked. "Even if it's a big grievance, leave quickly," Fang Yen said. "To save your dignity, it will only make you lose more dignity. Not willing to bear the loss will only make you lose more. How can you deal with it in such a straightforward and cool way?" Jiang Qin asked. "The greater a person's ability, the heavier the responsibility. I know, it's a line from Spider-Man, but it's not just about Spider-Man, but also Iron Man, Batman, Superman, Bill Gates, Steve Jobs, Obama, Fang Yan, you really are shameless. Jiang Qin curled his lips and said, "This is a serious question. You shouldn't say something so frivolous," Fang Yan said. "This will ruin the atmosphere of our conversation. It's also possible that after we talk tonight, you'll be enlightened, and your life will be different from then on. In the future, when I successfully write my memoirs, I will write that it was a night so serious that even the air froze." "What are you trying to say?" Jiang Qin asked. "Girls shouldn't go to bars," Fang Yan said. "I'm talking about girls who are still in middle school. Can't you just say it directly? I'm a teacher. If I speak as poorly as you, wouldn't that be an insult to the profession of a teacher?" "Fang Yan, call me Teacher Fang Yan. You're so cheap. If you scold me, I'm going to tell your mom that you sneaked out to the bar instead of studying properly. I'm going to tell my mom that you touched my ass in a bar." Jiang Qin reached out to Fang Yan and said, "Lend me your cell phone." "What do you want to do?" Fang Yan asked warily. "I want to call you on Lin. My cell phone is out of battery," Jiang Qin said. Fang Yan handed over his cell phone. Jiang Qin took the cell phone and tapped it quickly. "What are you doing?" Fang Yan asked. Jiang Qin threw Fang Yan's cell phone back and said proudly, "I helped you delete Yuan Lin's number. Anyway, I know you don't like her. She saved my cell phone number. What if she takes the initiative to call? You can choose not to answer." Jiang Qin said. He thought that it would be strange if she could call. "Shoo." Jiang Qin used the key to open the door and whispered to Fang Yan, "Be careful with your footsteps. My mom might hear you." "Don't shoo." "I heard it." Sister Li's voice came from inside the door. Jiang Qin and Fang Yan looked at each other and helplessly opened the door to the courtyard. "Mom, why aren't you sleeping?" Jiang Qin stood at the door and greeted Sister Li with a smile. "Can I sleep?" Auntie Li said in a bad mood. She stared at Fang Yan with an unfriendly look and said to Jiang Qin, "Where did he go?" "It's all Mr. Fang's fault." Jiang Qin suddenly turned against Fang Yan and said angrily, "We were only halfway through the tutoring when his stomach started growling. He said he wanted to go out and find something to eat. He just came to Huaqing and was unfamiliar with this place. How could I let him go out alone? I brought him out to find something to eat. I wanted to let him eat alone, but when I saw that the food was delicious, I ate it too." Jiang Qin patted his flat stomach and said, "I'm stuffed to death. I'm afraid I'll gain a few kilograms. I need to lose weight quickly." "Mr. Fang didn't eat his fill tonight?" Sister Li looked at Fang Yan and asked. Jiang Qin's move was effective. He immediately changed the topic. Before Fang Yan could answer, Jiang Qin already said, "Mom, are you really stupid or are you pretending to be? Mr. Fang just moved to our house. How could he eat so much in our house? When we were eating supper just now, he said he had to eat 3 bowls of rice every meal. But he has already eaten 3 bowls. Sister Li said. No, it's 4 bowls? Yes, Mr. Fang said he has 3 bowls at the very least. Usually, he has 4 to 5 bowls. He's afraid that you'll laugh at him, so he doesn't want to eat too much." Sister Li looked at Fang Yan apologetically and said, "Mr. Fang, aren't you being too polite? Didn't I say it before? We're all family. Why are you being so polite in our house? Don't do it next time. I'll make more food in the future and make sure you're full." But Fang Yan wanted to find a hole to hide in. This Jiang Qin, did she think he was a pig? "Make more meat dishes." Mr. Fang said he likes meat, Jiang Qin said. "No problem." Sister Li laughed. "What's so difficult about it? Have you forgotten what our family does?" Jiang Qin yawned and said, "I'm full. I'm sleepy. I'm going back to sleep." "Hey, go to sleep. You still have class tomorrow," Sister Li said. "Good night, Mr. Fang." Jiang Qin said goodbye to Fang Yan with a wink. "Good night." Fang Yan waved his hand. Jiang Qin smiled and walked toward the inner room. "Wait!" Sister Li shouted. Jiang Qin was shocked. She turned around and complained, "Mom, what are you doing? Are you trying to scare me to death?" "Sweetheart, your clothes? You weren't wearing this before, right? This is it." Jiang Qin said firmly. I went upstairs to take a shower and change. This is it? This is it. Sister Li patted her head and sighed. Menopause. My memory is getting worse. Jiang Qin walked over and hugged Sister Li's arm. How can my memory be bad? Why do you never forget to make breakfast for me in the morning? This silly child. Sister Li hugged her daughter lovingly and said with relief. Jiang Qin secretly stuck out her tongue at Fang Yan and went back to the room with Sister Li. Why does it seem like an affair? Fang Yan said, wiping the sweat on his forehead. When Huang Haoren returned home, his father, Huang Wenxiang, was sitting in the study, working. As the chief reporter of Wuxia Metropolis Daily, Huang Wenxiang rarely went to the newspaper office. Most of the time, he was out reporting news and writing manuscripts at home. Huang Haoren stood at the door of the study and gently knocked on the door. Huang Wenxiang looked up and saw his son. He adjusted his glasses and said with a smile, Haoren is back. Dad, I want to talk to you, Huang Haoren said. Huang Wenxiang hesitated a little, but he still closed the manuscript in his hand and said, let's talk. He knew his son and knew that his son was very calm. If there was nothing important, his son would not disturb his work. Even though his manuscript was in a hurry, he was still willing to give his son some time. Huang Haoren walked to the chair opposite his father and sat down. He said, Dad, I want to ask you to pay attention to an event. What is it? A teacher of Rosefinch Secondary was fired. Huang Haoren said. Huang Wenxiang couldn't help laughing and said, Haoren, don't be ridiculous. Do you know what kind of newspaper Dad works for? If it was just a matter of a teacher being fired from a school, it would be impossible for it to be on the Wuxia Metropolis Daily. Hurry up and wash your face. I'll take you to eat something delicious later. Dad. Huang Haoren looked at his father stubbornly. He's different from other teachers. Huang Wenxiang wanted to say, as long as it's a teacher of Rosefinch Secondary, it's all the same to me. That was because their newspaper would not publish such trivial news. That would be a waste of space. The editor-in-chief wouldn't approve it either. However, looking at his son's serious expression and firm eyes, he didn't say it in the end. How is he different? Huang Wenxiang changed his sitting position and asked aloud. He was wronged. He was fired because of us. Huang Haoren's voice was a little emotional. Thinking of what Jing Guodong and the others said, his heart was filled with anger. What kind of era was this? Why were bad people always free and unfettered? After listening to his son's narration, Huang Wenxiang's expression also became solemn. How do you want me to help him? Huang Wenxiang asked aloud. Report it. Huang Haoren gritted his teeth and said, you should seek justice for him in the newspaper. If you don't put some pressure on the school, they won't recruit Mr. Fang again. It's said that the school leaders have already discussed and approved it. If I do this, Huang Wenxiang looked at his son and said, do you know what this will bring to you? The school leaders will look at you with colored glasses. Other teachers will also see you as a marginal person because of the attitude of the higher-ups. Are you sure you want to do this? You're still young. There's no need to get involved in such a level of struggle. If there's too much mental pressure, it will affect your academic performance. Huang Haoren was silent. Think about it carefully. Huang Wenxiang said, Dad, I've already thought about it. Huang Haoren's eyes were firm and he said very solemnly, Mr. Fang is a good teacher. A good person shouldn't be treated like this. Chapter 31. Early morning. It was a thin mist. I can't see my hands and I can't walk when I see my hands. Fang Yan moved his toes, and his hands quickly drew circles one after another. Sincerity in the heart, form on the outside, ever-changing and ever-changing, the fire reaches perfection. God is solemn, and appearance is majestic. The atmosphere is pure, and the spirit tool is pure. The heart is myriad, and the 5 skandhas are hidden. Circles within circles, and in the end, only a straight line could be seen. No matter how difficult it is to approach from all directions, even if a brave person suddenly invades, he will fall. Fang Yan, Jiang Qin, who was wearing a blue school uniform with a ponytail and a pretty face, stood at the side with a smile. This girl seemed to have a dual personality. Last night, she was dressed like a nightclub queen, and now, she was back to being the pure and cute girl next door that Fang Yan was familiar with. "Call me teacher." "Teacher Fang Yan." Jiang Qin looked at Fang Yan's dance and said, "Are you really a Tai Chi expert? When have I ever lied?" "That's a lie," Jiang Qin said with a pout. "Didn't you say you're a teacher at number 1 middle school? Aren't you Fang Huohua? Aren't you teaching mathematics? Tai Chi is all about what's real and what's fake. You can't let your opponent see your background clearly," Fang Yan said confidently. "What are you doing here?" "To get my bag," Jiang Qin said. Last night, they said they were going to tutor at Fang Yan's place, but in fact, they sneaked out. "On the cabinet in my room." Fang Yan stopped practicing and wiped his hands with a towel. Jiang Qin raised his wrist and waved it in front of Fang Yan's eyes and said, "It's 7 o'clock, aren't you going to school?" "School?" Fang Yan was stunned for a moment and said with a smile, "You go first, I still need to take a shower." "Aren't you going to be late?" "I don't have class for the first 2 periods, Fang Yan said. He was too ashamed to tell others that he had been fired after only 2 days of work. In that case, Sister Li would definitely not cook delicious food for him anymore. "Then I'll leave first. Bye." Jiang Qin waved at Fang Yan. "Come back early tonight." "To the bar again?" "Tutoring," Jiang Qin said, rolling his eyes. "Do you think I'm an alcoholic?" "That's good," Fang Yan said with a smile. It seemed that last night's encounter had caused the lass to reflect on her actions. Outside, it was lively and bustling, but there were also demons and monsters hidden. To these children who had yet to reach adulthood, it was simply impossible to guard against. Watching Jiang Qin skipping away, Fang Yan also returned to his hut. When he came out of the bathroom, he saw 2 missed calls on his phone. One was the personal phone number of the office director, Jing Jing, and the other was an unknown number. Fang Yan ignored the unknown number and directly dialed Jing Jing's phone number. As soon as the phone was connected, he quickly hung up the phone. Soon, Fang Yan's cell phone rang. "Director Jing, I'm really sorry." Fang Yan apologized with a smile. "I accidentally hung up the phone. I was about to call you." "Fang Yan, come to the school. Principal Lu wants to see you," Jing Jing said coldly. "Wasn't I fired?" Fang Yan asked. "This is something that everyone knows. You don't have to repeat it again," Jing Jing said. Fang Yan thought, this guy's mouth is really vicious, and his words are not gentle at all. Is he still a model teacher? Fang Yan rushed to the principal's office, but he didn't see the office deputy director, Jing Jing, outside. Instead, a delicate little clerk was waiting at the door to greet Fang Yan. Seeing Fang Yan coming, the little clerk stood up and said, "Mr. Fang, Principal Lu is waiting for you in the office. He said that you can go in directly when you come." "Thank you." Fang Yan thanked the little clerk. "You're welcome." The little clerk blushed and said with a smile. He thought, everyone says that this new teacher, Fang Yan, is a troublemaker, but he is actually quite handsome. He is also young, much younger than other teachers. Although his job is not very stable, he is still barely worthy of me. Fang Yan knocked on the door of Lu Chaoga's office. When he heard a "please come in" voice, he pushed the door and went in. Lu Chaoga stood by the window with her back facing Fang Yan. She was bending over and trimming a potted plant. Her figure was exquisite, and her buttocks were plump. Looking from the side, her chest was heavy, and it looked very majestic. She was wearing a delicate black uniform, which concealed some of the sexy air brought about by her explosive figure, but it also added a lot of intellectual beauty to her. Seeing Lu Chaoga's clothes, Fang Yan thought of a small joke. A wife asked her husband, "Honey, which clothes do I look best in?" The husband replied, "Honey, you have to be good-looking first." Lu Xiaoga was good-looking, so she looked good whether she wore clothes or not. Fang Yan leaned over and said, "Oh, Principal Lu has changed his hobby and started to play potted plants? Flower arrangement needs to be calm and complete the whole work in the best state of mind. Only when it is done in one go can it show the most smooth and harmonious beauty. Lu Chaoga did not reject talking about flower arrangement techniques with Fang Yen, because it was very difficult for her to meet a flower arrangement enthusiast, and the other party was also an expert. Potted plants are not so strict. If you can't finish it today, you can continue tomorrow. It's enough as long as you have a general model in your mind. In our country of Wuxia, there is a saying that the ass determines the mind. Because Principal Lu likes flower arrangement, he looks down on potted plants. In fact, potted plants are the same as flower arrangement. They both need to invest feelings. They also have vitality, and they can also show the artistic form or effect we want in the most perfect posture. Fang Yen said, 1 book, 2 paintings, 3 inserts, for scissors, 5 craftsmen, each of which when done to the extreme is art. Lu Chaoga thought for a long time, nodded and said, you are right, I am biased. Principal Lu is knowledgeable and has a wide range of hobbies, and he is so humble. I am far inferior to him. Fang Yen sincerely praised. Hearing you say that, I don't feel happy at all. Lu Chaoga said. She put the scissors on the windowsill, took off the leather gloves on her hands, turned around and walked to her desk. Principal Lu, you asked me to come here to give me my salary, right? I knew it. Rosefinch Secondary is such a big and famous school. Why would it care about my few hundred yuan? Impossible. The salary will be paid on the 15th of next month. Lu Chaoga said. Fang Yen counted with his fingers and said awkwardly, Sigh, I am running out of food. What? Lu Chaoga asked. I said I am running out of money to eat. Fang Yen complained. In order to make a living, I am tutoring people outside. Lu Chaoga looked at Fang Yen in surprise and said, it doesn't look like it. She really couldn't imagine how a person like Fang Yen could not have money. Do I need to lie to you about this kind of thing? Fang Yen smiled bitterly. Principal Lu, you don't know, it is hard to find a job nowadays, and the prices are expensive. Rent, water, and electricity all need money, right? Food, drink, and toilet also need money, right? Even if I asked someone to help me clean my shoes, it would cost 3 yuan. I bargained for 2 yuan, but they were not willing. In the end, it was 250 yuan. Which man doesn't want to show his extravagance in front of a beautiful woman? I also want to tell you that I drove my Bentley sports car here today instead of taking the bus. I also want to tell you that I ate French steak and foie gras last night. The foie gras was too old for me to swallow. I am a man, and you are a beautiful woman. Why didn't I do that? I have no money in my pocket, so it is a lie to tell you. Principal Lu, can you lend me some money? Fang Yen looked at Lu Chaoga shyly and said, when I get my salary, the first priority will be to pay you back. Lu Chaoga had an impulse to explode again. This guy, did he ever think of himself as a leader for a second? Seeing Lu Chaoga was silent, Fang Yen thought she was unwilling and said, Principal Lu, you don't have to worry that I won't pay you back. I promise with my character. I will pay you back when I get my salary. By the way, I can also write you an IOU. How much? Lu Chaoga asked. She felt that she must be crazy. Why did she talk to him about this problem? 30 to 50,000. Fang Yen saw that Lu Chaoga's face was not right, so he quickly changed his words and said, 3 to 5,000 is also fine. Lu Chaoga took out her bag from the drawer and found her wallet from the bag. She took out a stack of money from the wallet and said, only this much. Fang Yen took the money and counted it. He said happily, 3,600. It is quite a lot. Nowadays, only fools carry so much cash in their wallet. I will write you an IOU. No need. Lu Chaoga waved her hand. She really didn't want to talk about this anymore. She wanted to end the topic quickly. Just deduct it from your salary. Okay. Fang Yen nodded and put the money into his pocket with a smile. Principal Lu, then I will go back first. Go back where? Lu Chaoga asked. Is there anything else? Lu Chaoga looked up at Fang Yen and said, you have 2 classes today. Wasn't I expelled from the school? Fang Yen looked up at Lu Chaoga with surprise and asked happily, I wasn't expelled? You are not leaving. I'm not leaving. Actually, you can leave. Fang Yen said. If Lu Chaoga left Rosefinch, She didn't have to return the money she just borrowed. What? Lu Chaoge frowned. Don't misunderstand. Fang Yan explained. Principal Lu is different from me. I can't find a job in other places. Principal Lu, other schools are rushing to invite you to work. A talent like Principal Lu should naturally go where he can display his talent. Don't force yourself because of me, a small teacher. Do you think I said that because I hope you don't have to return the 3,000 yuan after you leave? You look down on me, Fang Yan. I'm afraid that I'll drag down your bright future. Fang Yan. First, I am not staying because of you. I see. Fang Yan said. The nature of women is that they don't mean what they say. Who said this sentence? Second, in Rosefinch, I can also find a way to display my talent. I don't doubt it at all. Third, cooperate with my work in the future. Of course, of course. I am your person. I know. Fang Yan nodded repeatedly. Principal Lu, why does the school not want me to leave again? Did you help me? Lu Chaoge looked at Fang Yan deeply and said, Thank your students. Students? Fang Yan was confused. Wasn't Lu Chaoge helping him? Chapter 32. Coming out of Lu Chaoge's office, seeing the clerk looking at him with a smile, Fang Yan walked over with what he thought was the most handsome step. I'm Fang Yan. Fang means square, and Yan means two flames. How should I address you, beauty? My name is Zhang Meng. You can call me Xiao Meng. The clerk said with a blushing face and a smile. You're Principal Lu's secretary? Yes. Usually, I serve Principal Lu. But Director Jing will also help. When Xiao Meng said Jing Jing, her expression was a bit unnatural. Obviously, the two didn't get along very well. What happened in the school recently? Something big. Something big that has something to do with me. Yes, you were fired, but you were specially recruited. Yes, that's it. Fang Yan nodded with a smile. Why is that? You really asked the right person? Xiao Meng said proudly. These 2 days, I've been with Principal Lu, so I know the cause and effect of the matter. In fact, you were really fired from the school, but after listening to Xiao Meng's explanation, Fang Yan really wanted to thank his amiable and respectable students. He was indeed voted to be fired at the school's high-level meeting, and Lu Chaoge was really ready to give up the position of Rosefinch Secondary's vice principal to find another way out. However, Fang Yan's students let Fang Yan return to the school. Lu Chaoge also saw a valuable quality in these students, so she decided to stay. During the days when Fang Yan was away, a lot of things happened in the school. As soon as Fang Yan left, Huang Haoren returned home. He told his father, Huang Wenxiang, what happened in the school. After Huang Wenxiang heard it, he was furious and immediately followed him to Rosefinch Secondary to investigate. After interviewing many students of the 9th class and the people involved in the incident, he wrote an article titled, Good Teacher, Bad Teacher, Who Has the Final Say? The article was published in the evening supplement of the Huaxia Metropolis Daily. As soon as the article was published in the newspaper, it caused widespread discussion in the society. The teacher in the eyes of the students was a good teacher, but he was dismissed by the school because his teaching methods deviated from the classics. Such an outcome made the parents of the students very dissatisfied. The parents of the drowning girl, Zhu Fang, rushed to the school. Originally, they wanted to cause trouble for the school. But after listening to their daughter's explanation and the intercession of Class 9 students, not only did they not get angry, they even sent a letter of thanks to the school. The letter of thanks arrived, but the person who thanked them was chased away. This was undoubtedly a harsh slap to the school's face. The parents whose children were studying at Vermilion Bird Middle School also inquired about this matter from their children. Listening to the children who had witnessed the poetry recital, recounting what happened at that time, and seeing the excitement and envy in their children's eyes, the parents also began to think about whether they could transfer their children to Class 9 or not. The higher-ups of Rosefinch Secondary could no longer sit still. Principal Zhang Xiaofeng personally took the lead and convened a meeting to discuss the recruitment of Fang Yan. However, they had just chased him away and then immediately invited him back. The school's face would be embarrassed, and the person involved would certainly be very unhappy. Therefore, after a fierce bargaining, they decided to give him some compensation, directly skipping the 3-month probation period and becoming an official teacher of Rosefinch Secondary. There was no way to communicate this matter directly with Fang Yan, so Zhang Xiaofeng personally went to negotiate with Lu Chaoge. After agreeing to several of Lu Chaoge's requests, Lu Chaoge also agreed to withdraw her resignation and continue to stay at Rosefinch. Li Mingxiang and his group were the most humiliated when Fang Yan left and came back. They racked their brains to send Fang Yan away, but they didn't expect that they would have to go through so much trouble to invite him back. Has anyone ever told you that you are very good-looking? Fang Yan looked at Xiaoming and asked. Yes. Xiaoming lowered her head. How could this person be so direct? Confessing now. Isn't it a little too fast? Since they have all said it, then I won't say it. Fang Yan waved his hand at Xiaoming and quickly ran outside. He wanted to see his students, to see those lovely children. Bastard. Xiaoming looked at Fang Yan's back and gnashed her teeth. The Buick stopped in front of the villa. Zheng Jing pushed open the door and got off. He wiped his hair to make it look more smooth and tidy. He also tidied up the collar of his Chinese tunic suit to make himself look more neat and tidy. Only then did he carefully ring the doorbell of the courtyard. Click, the door opened, and Zheng Jing pushed the door and walked in. An old man in a black suit greeted him. After making an ancient European invitation gesture, he said, "Young master is waiting for you in the backyard." Thank you. Zheng Jing said gratefully and followed the old man to the backyard of the villa. If you didn't see it with your own eyes, it would be hard to imagine that the backyard of the villa was a huge golf course. Not only this villa, but the backyard of the whole row of villas were all golf courses. They could pick up their clubs and play a few rounds at any time. A man with his back to them was swinging his golf club to hit the ball. He was tall and straight, and his posture was standard. It was obvious that he was an expert in this field. The man swung his club, but the ball didn't move. It was empty. The man turned around and casually handed the club in his hand to the old man beside him. He said with a smile, "Zheng Jing, every time you come over, you affect my performance." Zheng Jing's forehead was full of sweat, and his round body tried to bend down. He said in fear, "Young Master Jiang, it's my fault. It's my fault. I shouldn't have come at this time. I asked you to come at this time, but you didn't come at this time. When were you going to come?" The man asked with a straight face. "Young Master asked me to come, so I came immediately." Zheng Jing nodded repeatedly. Even he didn't know what "yes" meant. Jiang Zhulu laughed and patted Zheng Jing's shoulder. He said, "All right, old Zheng, I was just joking with you. What's wrong? Old Zheng, you don't come without a reason. You said you have something to talk to me about. What is it?" "Young Master Jiang, it's like this." Zheng Jing glanced at the old butler beside him and hesitated. "Say it." "Uncle Lu is one of us," Jiang Zhulu said casually. He trusted this old butler a lot. "It's about Principal Lu," Zheng Jing said carefully. "She's too close to a man. I'm worried, The smile on Jiang Zhulio's face was even brighter. "What kind of man?" "Teacher," Zheng Jing said. "A new language teacher in the school." "Teacher?" Jiang Zhulu laughed. "Old Zheng, do you think I should be worried?" "I'm not worried." "Young Master Jiang, you don't have to worry about anyone," Zheng Jing quickly explained. I think this person is a bit different. Young Master Jiang should pay attention to him." "How different?" "Despicable." Jiang Zhulu looked at Zheng Jing in surprise and asked, "What kind of evaluation is that?" "Young Master Jiang, this is what I really think. How should I put it? If I had to find a word to describe him, the first word I would think of would be despicable. He's really annoying." "If that's the case." Jiang Zhulu looked at Zheng Jing with a faint smile. "Why should I pay attention to such a despicable person? Maybe men don't like him, but women will probably like this kind of man, right?" Zheng Jing said uncertainly. In any case, he didn't like Fang Yan a million times in his heart. Before he came, he was Lu Chaoge's #1 confidant. After he came, not only did he steal his flattering lines, but he also made Lu Chaoge alienate him more and more. Because of him, Lu Chaoga reprimanded him several times mercilessly. He felt that his pride was hurt. Fat people were also human, okay? How uncomfortable would it be for them to treat him like this? Jiang Zhulu looked at Jing Jing thoughtfully and said, "Do you think it's possible for Lu Chaoga to fall in love with such a despicable person?" "Principal Lu did a lot of things for him," Jing Jing said. "Really? Tell me about it," Jiang Zhulu said with great interest. Several times he got into trouble. It was Principal Lu who came forward to protect him. This time he was expelled from the school, but Principal Lu, if you don't finish your sentence next time, don't ever say the second half of it, Jiang Zhulu said. Principal Lu wanted to leave with him. She also said that if he left, she would also leave, Jing Jing said hurriedly. "Oh Jing, that's right. I hate beating around the bush when I speak," Jiang Zhulu said with a smile. He waved to the butler, and the butler immediately gave him the golf club. Jiang Zhulu took the club, clenched it with both hands, and suddenly smashed it toward Jing Jing's head. Jing Jing was caught off guard and was attacked. He covered his face and fell to the ground, crying in pain. Jiang Zhulu didn't intend to let him go so easily. He waved the club and hit his face again and again. Jing Jing held his head with both hands and screamed. Pa Oi Jiang Zhulu didn't stop until the club flew out of his hand. He took the white silk handkerchief from the old butler and wiped his hands. He squatted down and looked at Jing Jing's scarred face. He reached out and pulled him up from the ground. He asked with concern, "Old Jing, are you okay?" "I'm fine. Young Master Jiang, I'm fine," Jing Jing said with a sobbing tone. "It's good that you're fine. I'm just a person with a bad temper," Jiang Zhulu said apologetically. "But if you let me vent, it'll be fine. Isn't that right?" Yes. I understand. "Old Zheng, you're so disappointing. I put you in this position so that you can take good care of Lu Chaoga. What happened? You didn't even tell me that such a big thing happened? Things happened too fast. I didn't have time." "How fast?" "That Fang Yan. He came here 2 days ago." 2 days? The smile on Jiang Zhulio's face froze. 2 days, and Lu Xiaoga is leaving with him? Yes. Jiang Zhulu was silent. After a long time, he suddenly asked, "Old Zheng, what kind of person do you think I am?" "Charming person." No. You're not telling the truth." Jiang Zhulu waved his hand. There was an inexplicable sense of ridicule on his handsome face. "I'm a pervert. Am I right? Tell me, is this B*T afraid of a pervert?" "He must be afraid." "He must be," Jing Jing said. "That's good." Jiang Zhulu nodded in satisfaction. "It seems I should have a good talk with him. I wonder, does this B*T have a sword that can save his life?" Chapter 33. Qingxin Tea House. Fang Yan personally boiled the water to make tea. He filled the cup in front of Huang Wenxiang with the teapot and said with a smile, "The conditions here are too simple. If there's a chance in the future, I'll definitely make a cup of good tea to entertain the distinguished guests." "What kind of distinguished guest am I?" Huang Wenxiang said with a smile. He took a sip of the tea and said, "You don't say. The tea brewed by Mr. Fang really tastes different. I saw that Mr. Fang's tea brewing technique is quite skilled and exquisite. Is Mr. Fang good at the tea ceremony?" "It's not really a tea ceremony. I'm influenced by the elders in my family and usually like to drink tea with them. After drinking a lot and seeing a lot, I more or less understand it." Fang Yan looked at Huang Haoren, who was sitting next to him and willing to be a supporting character, and said, "Haoren, do you like tea?" "Yes," Huang Haoren said. "But the students in the class all like to drink Coca-Cola." "Maybe they'll like tea in the future too," Fang Yan said with a smile. "What do you have in mind?" Huang Wenxiang asked. He was a reporter, so he was extraordinarily sensitive to the subtext that could be hidden in every sentence. "I'm going to let them know some knowledge about the tea ceremony," Fang Yan said with a smile. "The tea ceremony is the quintessence of Huaxia. Brewing tea and drinking it can calm people down, cultivate their character, and improve a person's personal quality and cultural accomplishment. It's a pity to lose such a good thing. It can't be passed down by one person, nor can it be passed down by one family. If a group of people and a country were to pass it down, why would we worry that the tea ceremony of Huaxia can't be carried forward? But the tea ceremony technique is not in the scope of the language textbook. If you teach this, aren't you afraid of being expelled from school again? Huang Wenxiang asked doubtfully. Fang Yan did not answer Huang Wenxiang's question. Instead, he looked at Huang Haoren and asked, Huang Haoren, do you think the students will like the tea ceremony lesson? Huang Haoren's eyes lit up. I'm sure many students will like it. Do you think this is good for you? Fang Yan asked again. Yes, Huang Haoren said. We're also willing to learn some extracurricular knowledge. We also want to learn things that interest us, but there's too much content in the textbooks and too much extracurricular homework. We don't have the time or the channels, so we can only leave it at that. Actually, the students like these things very much. Why did the dance club and taekwondo club have so many members? Isn't that proof that everyone likes these things? Fang Yan was very satisfied with Huang Haoren's answer. Only then did he say to Huang Wenxiang, because there is no test as a teacher, he doesn't teach. Is this really for the good of the students? But now, all the schools are only using fractions. If you delay the students' studies, who says that students who learn the way of tea can't get high marks? Fang Yan retorted. There are a few months in a semester. How many pages are there in a Chinese textbook? If you study hard, a month's time is enough. Why do our students need such a long time to learn? Because they hate studying. Fang Yan gave the answer to this question himself. They spend all day memorizing who was born and who died in what year. This essay represents the author's point of view. This poem expresses the poet's state of mind. The person has been dead for so many years. Who knows what the author's point of view is expressed in the essay? Who knows the poet's state of mind when he writes the poem? Maybe it's a sentence that he forced out while squatting in the toilet with constipation. He gave it a self-righteous interpretation and then told the students that it was the correct answer. Are the people who interpreted it the author himself? Is it the poet himself? Since that was not the case, why did they think that their interpretation was correct? Why can't the students have their own interpretation? Must the students' interpretation be wrong? If every student has their own interpretation, then how can we determine if they get a score? Huang Wenxiang asked. Why does it have to be based on a unified thinking to get a score? Fang Yan said helplessly. Literature is art. Art is something that is hard to determine. We rank the students on a scale of 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. The first one is closest to the poet, and the second one understands the poet the best. However, we can't teach any poet. Interesting point. Huang Wenxiang smiled. Do you mind if I organize these words and post them on the Huaxia Metropolis Daily? The last essay received a great response from the parents. If we post the second one, it should be able to heat up the topic again. Okay, but don't put my name on it, Fang Yan said. Because? How could Fang Yan tell them that he didn't want to be famous because he was afraid that the violent girl, Yi Rou, would suddenly come to him and beat him up? I'm a quiet person. I like peace. I don't like to be influenced by vulgar things like fame and fortune. There aren't many good teachers like you. Huang Wenxiang sighed. No wonder Haoren said you're different from other teachers. If I had 40 students, I would want to teach 40 geniuses in different fields, not the same type of talent, Fang Yan said. That's why I'm different from other teachers. Mr. Fang is of noble character and unquestionable integrity. Do you get paid for your essay? I'll give my payment to Haoren to buy a book. No. The payment is yours. I'll have Haoren bring it to you. You're too polite, Mr. Huang. You're welcome, Mr. Fang. There were 2 Chinese classes in the afternoon, so Fang Yan didn't get off work early. When he was sitting in the office reading, Chen Dehai walked in with a teacup in his hand. Mr. Chen, you're here. Team leader Chen, how come you have time to inspect our Chinese team? Old Chen, have some tea. I brought some camellia from my hometown. It's fragrant. Chen Dehai was the team leader of the first-year mathematics team and the homeroom teacher of Class 9. He was on good terms with the vice principal, the dean, and other school leaders. Therefore, he was a good person to suck up to among the ordinary teachers of no rank. Chen Dehai smiled and greeted the teachers. Then, he stood in front of Fang Yan and looked down at him. He said, "Mr. Fang, these are the leave slips from Jingguodong, Qintao, and Liang. They're not feeling well, so they asked for leave from me. I told them to go back and rest." After Zhu Fang fell into the water, Jingguodong, Qintao, and Liang ran to Fang Yan and mocked him. They were so sarcastic that they almost got into a fight with the other students who were on Fang Yan's side. Now that they knew from their family elders that not only did Fang Yan not leave, but he was coming back to be their Chinese teacher again, how could they have the nerve to come to class? It was impossible to find someone to send leave slips on their behalf. Last time they did that, Fang Yan had directly written on the back of the slip, "No approval." They couldn't bring themselves to look for Fang Yan to ask for leave. Therefore, they acted on the spot and turned their attention to Chen Dehai. Wasn't Chen Dehai their homeroom teacher? Couldn't they just ask for leave from the homeroom teacher? Fang Yan knew exactly what Jingguodong and the others were thinking. He took the leave slips and looked at them. He asked with concern, "Are Jingguodong, Qintao, and Liang seriously ill?" "It's not a big deal," Chen Dehai said with a smile. He thought to himself, "Fang Yan, I'd like to see how long you can be so arrogant. It's fine if you offend others, but even Director Zhang's son hates you. How can you have a good life at Rosefinch Secondary? Are they hospitalized?" "I'll go to the hospital to see them," Fang Yan said. "They're not hospitalized." Chen Dehai felt very uncomfortable. How could this person say that? Who would go to the hospital for no reason? I saw that they only asked for 2 classes. There shouldn't be enough rest time, right? Fang Yan looked at the class schedule on the table and said, "The first 2 classes tomorrow are my Chinese class, and the whole afternoon the day after tomorrow will be my Chinese class. Why don't they ask for these 5 classes together?" "Mr. Fang." Chen Dehai's face darkened. "Students ask for leave based on their own physical condition. How can you encourage them to ask for so much leave in advance?" Fang Yan smiled and said, "I'm just afraid that they will suddenly have a stomachache during my Chinese class tomorrow. The day after that, they will be on their period again. So, I'm reminding them to ask for leave at once. Isn't that better? It's convenient for them, and it's convenient for me." It seems that Mr. Fang is prejudiced against these 3 students? Chen Dehai began to accuse Fang Yan. No, not at all." Fang Yan waved his hand. "Although Teacher Chen framed me behind my back, I won't treat Qintao differently just because he is your son. Although this child's nature is bad, he is still a child. As a child, he has the chance to turn over a new leaf. As a teacher, we should have confidence in our students." "Fang Yan, how can you say that? Whose nature is bad? Who framed you behind your back?" "Chen Tao's nature is bad. Teacher Chen framed me behind my back." Fang Yan smiled bitterly. "We are all colleagues. Why do you have to force me to say it so clearly? How can we get along in the future? Let's go. Follow me to see the principal." Chen Dehai was about to go crazy because of Fang Yan. He pulled Fang Yan's hand and wanted to take him to see the school's leader. "Teacher Chen, don't be so impulsive." Fang Yan comforted him with a gentle voice. "The fewer people who know about this, the better. If you make a ruckus like this, everyone will know. It won't be good for you and Chen Tao. Chen Tao is still a child. He can still be saved. Chen Tao is a child, so he can still be saved. As for you, Teacher Chen, there is no medicine that can save him." The other teachers couldn't sit still anymore. They all came over to mediate. "Yeah, Teacher Chen, don't be so agitated. Let's talk this out. Fang Yan, you're too much. How can you talk to Team Leader Chen like that? How did Team Leader Chen frame you? If you have the ability, tell us. You have no hair on your mouth and you're not reliable. I really don't know why the school recruited such a child. I say, everyone." Fang Yan glanced sideways at the teachers from the Chinese literature team and said, "I can't stop you from sucking up to me, but don't drag me down with you. I'm also someone with a backer. You all know about Principal Lu Chaoga, right? I'm one of her people. Look, all of you are bullying the weak and fearing the strong. Once I say that I have a backer, all of you are so scared that you don't dare to say a word. Fang Yan continued to attack. The teachers felt that they couldn't go on any longer. They couldn't stay in this office anymore. Fang Yan, Qin Dehai was so angry that he was trembling. He pointed at Fang Yan and shouted, "I will definitely make you leave Rosefinch. Definitely." When your son said this, he was much more imposing than you, Fang Yan said. He wouldn't take such a weak threat to heart. Chapter 34. Fang Yan stood on the podium, and the students applauded spontaneously. Thank you. Fang Yan bowed deeply to the audience. Thank you. Mr. Fang, what are you thanking us for? That's right, we should be thanking you. Mr. Fang, you're finally back. We were really worried that you would leave. Fang Yan chuckled as he looked at the 37 students sitting below the stage. He said, I used to think the same way as all of you. Teachers exist to teach and dispel students' doubts. Teachers stand on the side of the giver, so they deserve the gratitude and respect of their students. After experiencing this incident, I know that my thinking was wrong. Thank you, Huang Haoren. Thank you for your journalist father's voice of justice. Thank you, Zhu Fang. Thank you, Zhu Fang's parents, for sending a thank you letter, and the other students' support and everything they've done for me. We're not only teachers and students, but also friends who can go through thick and thin together. If we're friends, can I call you by your name? No problem, you can call me Fang Yan, Fang Yan said with a smile. Respect and affection are not expressed in a title. Mr. Fang, what are we learning in this class? That's right, why don't we learn Jing Ku assassinates the king of Qin? Each of us can act as Jing Ku. I'll act as the king of Qin, and you can come and kill me. You can't kill me. In the past, the students learned whatever the teachers taught. The teachers taught passively, and the students learned passively. They learned by rote and got bored with each other. After experiencing Fang Yan's scene reenactment teaching method, the students began to take the initiative to learn a certain text. This was a rather gratifying change. If they could maintain this kind of learning drive, they wouldn't have to worry about their grades. We won't learn anything today, Fang Yan said with a smile. We learned Farewell to Cambridge Again by the Sparrow River in the last class. Can you write an essay, Farewell to Sparrow Bridge Again, based on that scene? Although you are only in your first year of high school, you will leave Rosefinch one day and enter a higher school to further your studies. Think about it, at that time, when you really had to leave the Vermilion Bird, how would you feel? There's no time limit and no word limit. As long as it's the work that you think you're most satisfied with, you can submit it to me as your homework. Once I've collected all of your works, I'll read them out one by one. Then we'll vote for the 3 best works. The best work will be awarded the title of Outstanding Poet in Class 9, and you'll get an extra mark on your language grade. Oh right, he could also use this point to exchange for a leave of absence from his language class. If you don't want to listen to me, we don't want to exchange for leave. Who would be willing to take a leave from Mr. Fang's class? Exactly. If he wanted to take a leave of absence, he should have taken another class. For example, math class. Everyone, you have to vote for me. My work will definitely be a masterpiece. After joking around for a while, the students began to meditate. Some of the quick-witted ones had already started writing on the paper with their pens. Most of the students lowered their heads and meditated, searching for the aura called inspiration. There were even 2 students who stood up from their seats and paced back and forth in the classroom, but Fang Yan did not bother with them. Artistic creation should have no restrictions and boundaries. Fang Yan moved a chair to the back, leaned against the wall, and dozed off. It's so comfortable to be a teacher. Fang Yan sighed in his heart. If he were still at home, his father would probably force him to practice kung fu again. He really didn't understand why he kept practicing when he couldn't beat Yi Gentle no matter how much he practiced. Fang Yan thought that the next time he saw Yi Gentle, he would compete with her in reciting 300 Tang poems. Whoever could recite more would be the winner. In fact, on the day of the duel when Fang Yan was 18 years old, he also asked Yi Gentle to do the same. Unfortunately, the violent Yi Gentle didn't understand his feelings and beat him until he cried for his parents. She untied his black belt and surrendered, saying that he couldn't do it. Blood debt. Thinking of that embarrassing scene, Fang Yan felt angry. You must pay with blood. Next time, I will throw snowballs at her when I see her. I can't do close combat, but I can at least gain some advantage by attacking from a distance, right? Fang Yan couldn't help laughing when he thought of how he had smashed Yi Gentle's head with a snowball and how she had cried and begged him for mercy. Mr. Fang, wake up. Huang Haoren shook Fang Yan's arm and shouted. Fang Yan opened his eyes and found more than a dozen students gathered in front of him. More students looked at him in surprise, as if they were looking at a yellow-skinned ET. Why are you all looking at me? Fang Yan felt that his face was damaged. I just took a nap for a while. How did I fall asleep? Didn't I ask you to write poems? All of them have been handed in. Huang Haoren pointed at the stack of papers on Fang Yan's chest and said, It was wet with your saliva. What poem, wet or not? Fang Yan grabbed the stack of poems and looked at it. Sure enough, several of them were wet with saliva. It's disgusting. This was his first reaction. But after thinking that it was his saliva, it became easier to accept. How can people dislike themselves? Let me take a look first, Fang Yan said. You guys get to your positions. Mr. Fang, are you okay? Huang Haoren asked with concern. I closed my eyes to think, Fang Yan said. I was too tired last night and accidentally fell asleep. Mr. Fang has been under too much pressure these past 2 days. Huang Haoren explained to the students around him. Everyone, don't disturb Mr. Fang's rest. Understood. Understood. The students looked as if they understood and quietly dispersed. Fang Yan was expelled from the school. If this happened to anyone, they probably wouldn't have the mood to accompany a little girl to a bar to drink and sing, right? You guys are so good to me. Fang Yan looked at the way they left quietly. His eyes were moist and his heart was sour. I will also treat you guys as treasures in my hands. Fang Yan flipped open the poems that the students handed in. He was furious and shouted, Which idiot wrote a poem without writing his name? Do you think you are Li by Du Fu by Ji? You can tell who you are just by looking at your style? Don't make mistakes easily until you reach that step. Teacher Fang Yan. Someone shouted at the door. Hey! Fang Yan looked up and it turned out to be the school's principal, Zhang Xiaofeng, standing at the door of the classroom. Fang Yan was shocked. A leader like Zhang Xiaofeng actually took the initiative to look for him. Could it be that something happened again? In the past, he couldn't find a horse to flatter. Now that the horse took the initiative to send itself to him, Fang Yan naturally wouldn't miss such a good opportunity. Fang Yan quickly walked out and said fawningly, Principal Zhang, are you looking for me? Teacher Fang Yan wanted to use his own practical actions to teach his students that a man should be like a little brother, soft and hard at the same time. When soft, it was like a sponge. When hard, it was like a nail. Mr. Fang, are you busy? Zhang Xiaofeng asked with a smile. Are you adapting to Rosefinch? Adapt, very adapt. Rosefinch is a place that you don't want to leave once you come. Fang Yan said. If you don't want to leave, then don't leave. Just take root in Rosefinch and cultivate more outstanding students for our Rosefinch secondary. Okay, I'll listen to the principal. Fang Yan nodded with incomparable determination. If the principal doesn't want me to leave, then I won't leave. Zhang Xiaofeng sneered in his heart. I asked you to leave, but you didn't leave either? It's like this. I'm sending you a student. Zhang Xiaofeng said. A student who can be personally sent by the principal must be a good student. Fang Yan said with a smile. His eyes glanced behind the principal, and there was an instant feeling of amazement. Fang Yan wasn't a person who hadn't seen a woman. Fang Yan wasn't a man who hadn't seen a beautiful woman. However, he still firmly believed that there was such a person in the world, a smile that could shock the immortals, as ethereal as a god. Looking back once, people would be immersed in it for a lifetime. She wore the same white shirt as other students, but on her body, there was a kind of simple yet elegant feeling. The short blue skirt could only cover her knees, and she didn't wear shoes or socks, revealing a smooth and tender long leg. Her long hair was simply draped over her shoulders, and the sunlight casually splashed on her body. However, this was not simple, and this casual was not casual either. She didn't have any intention, and she just easily jumped into other people's hearts. This girl, wasn't she a little too good-looking? Ian, this is Mr. Fang. Zhang Xiaofeng turned around and introduced to Qin Etian. Fang Yan. The girl took the initiative to extend her small hand to Fang Yan. I'm Qin Etian. Etian, you have to call him Mr. Fang. Zhang Xiaofeng reminded. The girl smiled sweetly and didn't reply. Zhang Xiaofeng didn't force her, and kindly said to Qin Etian, Ian, I'll hand you over to teacher Fang Yan. If you need anything, just let me know. Thank you, Principal. Qin Etian smiled sweetly. You have to call him Uncle Zhang. Zhang Xiaofeng corrected her seriously. Hurry up and go to class. I won't disturb you. Zhang Xiaofeng looked at Fang Yan and said, Mr. Fang, I'll leave Qin Etian to you. She's the treasure of our school, you can't ruin her. Don't worry, Principal. I'll definitely treat her like my own daughter. Fang Yan said. He thought to himself, how could I ruin her? I also have moral principles, okay? As the saying goes, a teacher for a day, a father for life. Fang Yan said that he would treat Qin Etian like his own child, but he didn't mean to take advantage of others. Although he wasn't a person who didn't like to take advantage of others. Zhang Xiaofeng pointed at Fang Yan and left with a smile. I'm not your daughter. Qin Etian pursed her lips and smiled coquettishly. I was just using that analogy. Fang Yan explained. Then why didn't you use that analogy? Qin Etian's beautiful big eyes looked at Fang Yan without blinking. I have to treat her like my own woman? Fang Yan's eyes widened, and his face was full of disbelief. Is she flirting with me? Thank God you're here. Chapter 35. As a moral teacher, Fang Yan would never fall in love with his students. However, whether he fell in love or not was one thing, and whether or not he had a female student pursuing him was another. Just like how many female stars in the entertainment industry said to reporters, I don't want people to call me a vase. Please pay more attention to my acting skills. But did they think about the feelings of those women who had worked diligently for decades and never had anyone call them vases? Did they think about it? Yes, that was Fang Yan's mentality. Before he became a teacher at Rosefinch Secondary, he had imagined such a beautiful scene. Beautiful girls in white shirts and blue skirts were like roses that had just bloomed in the morning, fragrant and charming, shyly stuffing a passionate love letter into his teaching materials, or calling his name on the tree-lined path on the campus after school, and then giving him a cup of warm tea. He had already decided that he wouldn't tear up those love letters because it was very impolite behavior, and it would hurt the student's self-esteem. He would also drink the tea and even accept the thermos cup that was used to make the tea. However, he would refuse them, refuse their love, and refuse to derail their feelings. I am a good man, and you are a good girl. We will not have a good ending if we are together. Fang Yan said to them in the most gentle tone in the world. Because I am your teacher. Yes, he had imagined such a scene. With his idle face and powerful acting skills, how could those young girls not be fascinated by him? This day really came a little earlier than he had expected. Is that also a metaphor? Fang Yan laughed. If the enemy doesn't move, I won't move. If the enemy moves, I won't move. First, find out the real purpose of this girl. Didn't Zhang Wuji's mother say to be careful of women? The more beautiful a woman is, the more likely she is to cheat. As a young virgin, Fang Yan was very worried that he would be cheated by a beautiful girl. If they cheated him of his body, how could he go out and meet people in the future? I'm serious. Qin Etian blinked his eyes and said innocently. Fang Yan felt that she really wanted to lie to him. I am your teacher. You have to respect me. I know. Qin Etian nodded. That's why I want to put you in the most important position in my heart. Fang Yan, according to past practice, shouldn't you be introducing new classmates to your classmates? Call him Mr. Fang. Okay, Fang Yan. Fang Yan was very stubborn, but the other party was even more persistent than him. Standing on the podium, Fang Yan said to everyone with a smile, "Let's welcome our new classmate, Xianxia," with a warm round of applause. No one spoke. No one applauded. However, the boys' faces were flushed, and they had an excited expression on their faces. Even Huang Haoren, who was usually the calmest, was full of excitement. He looked at Xianxia standing on the front stage with burning eyes. Something is wrong. Fang Yan frowned. He smelled the restlessness in the air. What did these guys want to do? Xianxia walked to the podium, glanced at the audience, chuckled and said, "I know you all know me. I am Xianxia." Clatter. The applause was like thunder. Xianxia, Xianxia, Xianxia. Whether boys or girls, they shouted Xianxia's name enthusiastically. Fanatical fans were like this when they saw their idol. What's going on? Fang Yan felt very hurt. When he introduced himself, no one applauded. But when Xianxia stood on the stage and said something, they became crazy like this. Xianxia raised his hand, and the applause and shouting stopped immediately. "Mr. Fang, can I sit in the first row?" Xianxia asked. "I can't," Fang Yan refused without hesitation. "There are already students sitting in the first row. Now there are only empty seats in the last row. You can sit there." "Teacher, I am willing to change seats with Xianxia." A boy in the first row stood up and said, "Teacher, I am also willing. Teacher, let me change." Not only the boys wanted to change seats with Xianxia, but also the girls stood up, which made Fang Yan puzzled. Shouldn't the same sex repel each other? The seat one sits in has nothing to do with age, nationality, gender, or appearance. Fang Yan said righteously, "If you sit in the first row, will the students look at you or me in class?" "Xianxia, you must give a reason that can convince everyone. I want to be closer to you and see you more clearly." Xianxia looked at Fang Yan and giggled. Fang Yan's face also turned red. To be honest, Mr. Fang Yan was really embarrassed to be teased by a girl in front of so many students. Moreover, he was a shy and introverted boy who would blush when talking to girls. Fang Yan didn't answer, but the students' emotions were ignited by Xianxia's answer. "Xianxian, good job, we support you. No wonder you are our goddess Rosefinch. Even the way you pick up men is so powerful and domineering. Xianxian, you are so great, I like you." Fang Yan pointed to the back of the classroom and said, "Xianxia, this reason can't convince me, nor can it convince everyone. In the last row, there is a seat for you there." Xianxia smiled and said, "One day, you will be willing to let me sit in the first row." After saying that, she turned and walked to the back of the classroom. Her long hair flew in the wind, as if her whole body was covered with a layer of golden light. Wherever she went, the gazes of the students followed her. This was like a superstar suddenly coming back to experience campus life. This was how the students chased after her. Fang Yan felt a little sour in his heart. What's wrong with these guys? They looked at me with such fanaticism before. Apart from her good looks, what knowledge can she bring to them? Fang Yan stood on the podium and said, "Student Xianxia has just arrived. Let me reintroduce the content of this class. A few days ago, I brought everyone to Sparrow River to learn the poem, Farewell to Cambridge Bridge Again. In the last lesson, I had everyone write a poem, Farewell to Sparrow Bridge Again, based on the situation. Everyone here, including myself, will leave Vermilion Bird. There will be a day like that. When you leave Rosefinch, what will your mood be like? Of course, you can write about parting feelings, teacher and student relationships, or love. Now, I am holding their works in my hand. I will read them out one by one, and in the end, everyone will rate them. The 3 poems with the highest scores will be given 1 point to the authors. Student Xianxia has just arrived, so he doesn't need to participate in this evaluation." After saying that, Fang Yan began to read the poem. In the past, students only learned poetry. Who would have thought that they would write poems? Therefore, the poems written by many students were really boring and dry to the extreme. For example, a student named Yi Xiaoyu wrote, "Farewell to Sparrow Bridge again. Sparrow Bridge, I'm leaving. Sparrow Bridge, I'll be back. When you look at my eyes, do you know how deep my love for you is in my heart?" What was even better was, Sparrow Bridge. Sparrow Bridge. The reason why Sparrow Bridge was called Sparrow Bridge was that it looked like a bird. Of course, there was no lack of good works. For example, Huang Haoren, who had a deep foundation in ancient literature, used classical Chinese to write a poem about parting from school and Sparrow Bridge. The words were gorgeous, and the feelings were deep. It was well received by everyone. Zheng Guodong, Qin Tao, and Li Yang did not come to class. When Fang Yan read to number 40, Zhu Fang had finished reciting all the poems. "Okay, now everyone can start to grade," Fang Yan said with a smile. "Find a piece of paper and write down the 3 poems that you think are the best. The one with the most votes will be the excellent poet of our class 9. Qin Etienne stood up from the back. "Qin Etienne, what's the matter?" "Teacher, I also wrote a few poems. Can you help me take a look?" "How many?" "A few. I have more time." Fang Yan walked to the back of the classroom and took a stack of paper from Qin Etienne. He looked at the poems written in beautiful font and asked, "Did you just write this?" Qin Etienne said, "I didn't bring my bag. I borrowed the pen and paper from Ho Xiaolong." A boy sitting next to Qin Etienne smiled honestly, silently proving the authenticity of what Qin Etienne said. "Poems must have feelings. I have feelings," Qin Etienne said. "You took them to Sparrow River to learn, farewell to Cambridge again. I stood on the shore and admired it." No wonder she could write a poem in such a short time. She was one of the spectators of Farewell to Sparrow Bridge Again. Thinking back to the bustling scene of people surging on both sides of Sparrow River, mixed with beauties that he didn't notice, Fang Yan felt a sense of heroism. "You want to participate in the selection too? Since I've written it?" Qin Etienne said indifferently. "Then enjoy the same treatment as the other students." Fang Yan turned to the podium and said, "The new student, Qin Etienne, also wrote 3 poems. Let's all enjoy it together." Fang Yan cleared his throat and began to read. "You said the light of the drizzle, the distant view of the Sparrow Bridge, then you gently embraced the wind, the deep cover of the rainbow-colored dress, you said the radiance of spring, the green sleeves and the red fragrance, then you closed the West Tower inside." Standing quietly beside you, Fang Yan looked at the back of the classroom in surprise and saw Qin Etienne looking at him with a proud face. Clearly, she was very confident in her work. To be honest, Fang Yan wasn't confident that he could write such a beautiful sentence in such a short time. It didn't seem like the writing of a high school student. It was more like the feelings of a woman with countless emotional experiences. How did she do it? "You said the gentle breeze blew. I lay drunk and pondered, then I closed the doors and windows tightly, the tents filled with sorrow. You said the tenderness of love. How can we forget each other?" Yet my eyes turned slightly, they turned to frost. Chapter 36. She was like a little monster that was on a rampage. Without any warning, she wore a golden armor and stepped on a colorful cloud, barging into Fang Yan's life. She said that she didn't want to be Fang Yan's daughter, but Fang Yan's woman. She said that she wanted to sit in the first row, because it was closer to Fang Yan. She was the student's idol, and everyone's worship of her was maddening. Wherever she went, everyone's eyes would be on her. She wrote 3 love poems in a short period of time, and every love poem was breathtaking. She is challenging my authority," Fang Yan thought in his heart. Even Fang Yan had a bad guess in his heart. Could it be that the previous time, the school board, Zheng Tiancheng, and the rest couldn't chase him out of the school, so this time, they used a honey trap? They were willing to throw out such a charming little beauty. Just how much did they hate him? Fang Yan felt that he couldn't just sit still and wait for death. He had to find out the background of this woman. Among the 41 students in the class, Fang Yan, Huang Haoren, Zheng Guodong, Qin Tao, and Li Yang communicated the most. Of course, Zheng Guodong, Chen Tao, and Liang wouldn't cooperate obediently. So, the only person he could ask was Huang Haoren. Fang Yen could see the flickering light in Huang Haoren's eyes. He must have a good understanding of Qin Yitian. Without a doubt, Qin Yitian's 3 poems were the best of the day with a full vote. In other words, the prizes that were originally prepared for the top 3 had become hers alone. She suddenly gained 3 points. If she only scored 57 points in the next language exam, then with the 3 points she had now, she would be able to pass. However, with the profound knowledge she had displayed, did she look like the kind of student who could only score 57 points on a language test? Fang Yen felt that what he should be worried about now was that if she scored 98 points on the language test, plus the 3 points she had now, would he have to give her 101 points? Forget it, I can only exchange it in batches. Or maybe he could deduct more points from her when he marked the exam paper. After class, Fang Yen shouted, "Huang Haoren, come out with me." Huang Haoren was the temporary representative of the Chinese class, so it was only natural that Fang Yen would look for him to discuss matters. Huang Haoren quickly got up and didn't forget to look back at Qin Yitian before leaving. Fang Yen brought Huang Haoren downstairs to the middle of the school's English corner. He asked, "Huang Haoren, what's the matter with that Qin Yitian?" Huang Haoren was shocked. His face turned red and he stuttered, "Mr. Fang, I what? Just say it. You're a man, why are you being so wishy-washy?" Fang Yen said in a bad mood. "I do like Qin Yitian, but..." This time, it was Fang Yan's turn to be shocked. He brought Huang Haoren out to find out more about Qin Yitian. How did he find out that he was a teenager in love? Classmate Huang Haoren, this matter, Mr. Fang, I'm not the only one who likes Qin Yitian. All the boys in the school like Qin Yitian. Huang Haoren sold out all the boys in the school. Even the most advanced rocket couldn't catch up with this speed. Why? Fang Yen asked. Huang Haoren raised his head and looked at Fang Yen. He didn't understand what he meant. Is Qin Yitian famous in the school? Very famous. Huang Haoren became excited and said, she's very famous in the entire Huaqing. This year, because she's going to apply for Rosefinch, countless people followed her to apply for Rosefinch, including the top students in the city. This year, Rosefinch has the highest enrollment rate in years. You're one of them? Fang Yen asked with a smile. Huang Haoren was a little embarrassed. He adjusted his glasses and said with a red face, I think Rosefinch is very suitable for me. I was lucky enough to meet Mr. Fang. Why is she so famous? Fang Yen asked. Because she's a genius. Huang Haoren said without hesitation. In what way? Everything. Fang Yen shook his head and said, Huang Haoren, I heard from your father that your future dream is to become an excellent news reporter. What are the 3 elements of a reporter? Fast, accurate, and fresh. You can't be replaced by personal feelings. You've been blinded by your feelings, haven't you? It's true. Hearing that Fang Yen didn't trust Qin Yitian, Huang Haoren was a little anxious. Qin Yitian is really a genius. This is recognized by everyone. Don't think that she's only in her first year of high school. Even the 2nd and 3rd year students call her senior sister Qin. This kind of feels like a gangster boss. Fang Yen thought in his heart. After listening to Huang Haoren's explanation, Fang Yen felt that he should understand more clearly what made Qin Yitian, this student, different from others. He found a stone bench and sat down. Then he patted the seat next to him and said, Sit down and tell me. Huang Haoren didn't sit down. He stood in front of Fang Yen and said with a smile, Do you know? Qin Yitian is a legend in the world of elementary school. She studied in No. 1 middle school. No. 1 middle school is the best middle school in Huaqing. The students there all have good grades and there's a lot of pressure. However, everyone's goal is to get 2nd place, because the 1st place belongs to Qin Yitian. She studied in our No. 1 middle school for 3 years and was the champion of the whole grade for 3 years. What's more, she was 1st in every subject in the whole grade. She didn't show any signs of being biased. At that time, we felt that nothing could stump her. Even some Olympiad math questions that the teacher deliberately asked were easily solved by her. Just because she's good at studying? No, At that time, didn't Apple English Channel organize a host selection competition in Huaqing? Every contestant had to give a speech in English. She signed up, but in the end, all of the contestants were rejected. The organizer was in a difficult position because Qin Etian wasn't an adult yet, and she was still a student. If they signed a contract with her, it would be much more difficult. If they didn't sign a contract with her, they would go back on their previous promise, and it would be difficult to quell the pressure of public opinion. In the end, Qin Etian withdrew herself, saying that she had to focus on her studies and didn't have time to be a host. Apple English Channel didn't want to let go of such a talent, so they signed a contract with her as an on-camera reporter. Good at English? Good at giving speeches? In high school, hip-hop was very popular. She selected her own team members and choreographed her own hip-hop dance to enter the Huadong District Hip-Hop Dance Competition. The national finals were to be held in Yanjing, but she forfeited, saying that the air quality in Yanjing was too bad. At the graduation ceremony, she wore a red gown and sat in front of the piano to play Liszt's Paganini's Three Bells. At that time, we didn't understand it, but we thought it was beautiful. Later, when I looked it up, I found out that this piece was also called Campanella, and it was an arrangement by Liszt based on the theme of Violin Concerto No. 2 in B minor by the Italian violinist Paganini. The Bells was written in a rondo style, and every time the theme appeared, it had to be performed in a new way. It was very difficult. It was said that only a few people in Huaxia could perform this piece. Li Yundi, the Prince of Piano, performed this piece in Vienna and caused a sensation. Her program became the most popular program at the graduation ceremony, and many students especially bought Liszt's CD to listen to because of her. She can also play the piano. She was the president of the school broadcasting club in our first high school, and also in Rosefinch Secondary. She adapted the dance of Little Swan, rehearsed the play Romeo and Juliet, participated in the Olympic Math Olympiad and won a prize, and was a special guest of the observatory. Oh, she's also very good at volleyball and tennis. Doesn't she have any shortcomings? She's too beautiful, Huang Haoren said with a face full of regret. Too many people like her. Fang Yan was very sad. How could a teacher teach a student like this? Do you think her parents know she's so good? They should know, Huang Haoren said. If that's the case, why did they send their daughter to school? Do you think she has some ulterior motives for coming to our class? It's a little strange. Huang Haoren nodded and said, the first class is the best class in the whole grade, and Qin Etian got into Rosefinch with the best grades in the city. As soon as he entered Rosefinch, he was appointed as the temporary class monitor of the first class. I don't understand why she was transferred from the first class to our 9th class. Our 9th class is famous for being a problematic class, and Teacher Zhu was kicked out less than a month after he came. Teacher Zhu? The one before me? Fang Yin asked. Teacher Zhu is also a good person. Why was he kicked out? They said they found out he was having an affair with a girl. How is that possible? Teacher Zhu just came here, how could he have an affair with a girl? Did he offend someone? I'm not sure. Huang Haoren shook his head. Fang Yan had doubts in his heart, but it was not convenient for him to ask. After all, Huang Haoren was just a student, and it was impossible for him to know too much inside information. You just said that Qin Etian was specially transferred from the first class, the best class in the whole grade, to our 9th class? Yes. Huang Haoren nodded. Mr. Fang, didn't you know Qin Etian before? Listen, this question really hurts one's self-esteem. I am a teacher, and they should know me first. How can they ask me to know every student? No, I don't, Fang Yan said. Why do you think Qin Etian transferred? Why did he come to our 9th class? Maybe. Huang Haoren wanted to say something but stopped. Maybe what? Maybe she fell in love with one of the boys in our class? Huang Haoren lowered his head and said shyly. Fang Yan looked at Huang Haoren with gentle eyes and said earnestly, Huang Haoren classmate, students still have to focus on their studies. Huang Haoren widened his eyes and looked at Fang Yan and said, Mr. Fang, I thought you wouldn't say this. Fang Yan nodded. I will tell your parents. Chapter 37. The bell rang, and Huang Haoren returned to the classroom. Fang Yen sat on the stone chair lazily, feeling uneasy. Qin Tian, are you the reinforcements brought by the monkey? Are you thinking of me? A girl sat beside Fang Yen and asked aloud. Yes. Fang Yen replied, Why did you run out? It was class time, but Qin Tian appeared in front of Fang Yen. This girl skipped class as soon as she came? Isn't she too arrogant? Maybe there are some things that Huang Haoren didn't say clearly. Qin Tian said. I didn't ask him anything. Fang Yen hurriedly explained. What's wrong with this girl? Does she think she can understand everyone's mind? Did you notice that there's a sign on your head that says, you're trying to expose yourself? Qin Tian asked. That's right. Confessing without being pressed is exactly what people like you are. Fang Yen was too lazy to hide it. What didn't he say clearly? I have an agreement with Rosefinch Secondary that I can attend all the teachers' classes if I want to, and I can leave freely if I don't want to, Qin Tian said. He doesn't know this, and you definitely don't know this. You're so arrogant, what do you want the teachers to think? That's their business. Qin Tian smiled. They'll feel a little uncomfortable in the short term, but they'll get used to it after a long time. If you can't change others, then work hard to change yourself. Fang Yen looked at Qin Tian's almost perfect side profile and said, I don't understand, why did you transfer from class 1 to class 9? For you, what's the difference between class 1 and class 9? In other words, isn't class 1 more suitable for you than class 9? When you brought the students of class 9 to the Sparrow River to learn farewell again, I happened to be sleeping in the grass by the river. You're the first one to come out and stand on Baldy's broken ship. At that time, the sun was bright and you were covered with a layer of gold. You read poetry and you make gestures. She looked a little silly and a little sad. I felt like I was hallucinating. I couldn't tell if this was reality or a dream. So you decided to follow a great teacher like me? Fang Yen couldn't help but feel proud. It seemed that A Farewell to Sparrow Bridge Again had made him an instant hit in Rosefinch Secondary. He had to work harder and bid farewell to Sparrow Bridge School a few more times. Qin Tian shook his head and said, You can't teach me. Fang Yen swore on Yi Ro's honor that if this woman wasn't a woman, he would jump up and beat her up. What do you mean you can't teach me? Why can't I teach you? Do you mean to say that you are more powerful than the teacher? It's fine if you are more powerful than other teachers, but can you be more powerful than me? The reason I came here is... Qin Tian bit his lip and said very frankly and directly, I have a premonition that I will like you. Is this a confession? It must be. Qin Tian, don't joke about this kind of thing with the teacher, Fang Yen said angrily. Fang Yen, you don't have to test me. Qin Tian looked at Fang Yen with certainty. Without any shyness or evasion, he said, That's what I think. I never need to hide myself. I am your teacher? Fang Yen said. So what? Qin Tian said disdainfully, as if he didn't care about Fang Yan's identity as a teacher at all. Are there any cases of teachers and students falling in love and marrying each other in history? Besides, I just feel that I will like you. I just feel that you are a little different from other boys. Whether I will like you or not depends on your performance and what I see with my eyes, Qin Tian said indifferently. This feeling will become stronger and stronger, or it may become lighter day by day. Who knows? Just for this, you deliberately changed classes? Fang Yen felt that it was difficult for him to understand the psychology of girls nowadays. What were they thinking? Love. Qin Tian looked up at the sky and said softly, Although I don't think it is very important, isn't it good to experience the feeling of falling in love? Sorry, Fang Yen said. I don't have time and obligation to accompany you to experience it. Qin Tian giggled. What are you laughing at? Fang Luo was a little angry. Fang Yen, how do you know that you won't like me? I will definitely not like you. Is that so? Qin Tian clapped his hands and stood up, saying, Fang Yen, while I am watching your performance, you should also watch me. There are some things that you can't control. At that time, you will know that the identity of a teacher is really not worth mentioning. Qin Etienne waved his hand at Fang Yen and said, "Fang Yen, see you in the next class. Call me Mr. Fang." "No." Qin Etienne refused. "I won't call you Mr. Fang. Because I can't teach you? That's not true. The teachers of Class 1 can't teach me either, but I am still willing to give them enough respect." Qin Etienne turned around and explained this matter seriously with his delicate and flawless face. "I won't call you teacher. We are in an equal relationship. If I call you teacher, it will only widen the distance between us. Huang Haoren told you that I am not stupid, right? This kind of multiple-choice question is not difficult for me." After saying these words, Qin Etienne held his head high and swaggered away like a proud little swan. Fang Yan's whole body was lying on the stone chair. He pulled out a green foxtail and put it into his mouth, saying with a sneer, "Qin Etienne, you dare to provoke my dignity. I am really King excellent." After school in the afternoon, it was the most crowded time of the school gate. Of course, Fang Yen couldn't squeeze the school gate with the students, so he got off work early. Fang Yen now had the teacher's certificate of Rosefinch Secondary. He pinned the certificate to the chest of his clothes and proudly walked past the envious eyes of the security guards at the gate. He felt that his life realm and the standard of life had been improved and sublimated again. Before, he needed to register at the security guard post when he went in and out, and the security guard called to report to the inside. It was really too troublesome. Soon, Fang Yan's good mood turned bad. Because as soon as he walked out of the school gate, he was surrounded. A blonde pointed at Fang Yen and shouted, "It's Fang Huahua." Slapped. The blonde's head was slapped. Brother Wolf came over with a group of people and said with a sneer, "He is not Fang Huahua, he is Fang Yen." "It's Fang Yen. Don't change your name, don't you have any shame?" The blonde pointed at Fang Yen and scolded. "I didn't say I wasn't Fang Yen," Fang Yen sneered. He knew these hooligans. They were the hooligans who tried to molest Wang Lin when he accompanied Jiang Qin to the bar. The hooligans usually had nothing to do, but they valued their reputation more than anything else. Fang Yen was not surprised that they came to seek revenge. However, they had found the right place so quickly, which proved that they were still very capable. "If I had told you that my name was Fang Yen, would you have known how to write the word yen?" "Boss, he said we didn't know how to read," a bald man said angrily. Slapped. The bald man was also slapped on the head. "I know," Brother Wolf said angrily. Brother Wolf stared at Fang Yen fiercely and said, "Fang, we meet again. Don't act like you know me." "Do I know you?" Fang Yen said disdainfully. "But I know you." Brother Wolf pointed to his chest and said hatefully, "Do you remember when you stepped on this spot?" Fang Yen was amused and said, "Now that you've reminded me, I do remember." "How can I not remember? When you were lying on the ground and looking down at me, didn't you think I was handsome?" Fang Yen, "Shoo." Fang Yen put his finger to his mouth and motioned for them to be quiet. "Lower your voice." "Are you afraid?" Brother Wolf obviously misunderstood Fang Yan's meaning. "Afraid that we will make things worse and affect your reputation? Afraid that you can't keep your job?" Brother Wolf was very proud. "Yes, we are here for this goal. You hurt me and you want to laugh it off? There are no doors or windows. You think too much." Fang Yen waved his hand. "Your voice is so loud that people will misunderstand that I am as uncultured as you." "What is that saying again?" "A person's opponent determines a person's achievements. To see whether a person is good or not, it depends on who his opponent is. If there is any conflict, we can deal with it in private. It is not good for you to come to the school gate and insult me in broad daylight." What was a battle of words? After being a gangster for so many years, Brother Wolf finally understood the power of these 4 words. In their circle, people scolded with, "Your mother, my mother, your mother." It was direct, but it was like scratching an itch through one's boot. Because these words were too familiar to them. Usually, if they did not mention their mother, they would feel like there was no chili in their meals, no hair gel in their hair, no coquettish women in the bar. They always felt that something was missing. On this day this year, at this moment, the man standing in front of her didn't say a single vulgar word. He didn't mention father or mother, but why did he make her feel suffocated? She had the urge to chop him into meat paste and knead him into a meatball? Brother Wolf wanted to say something in response, or perhaps say something more powerful and hateful. However, his face was red, the muscles on his cheeks kept twitching, his eyes were red, and tears were about to come out, but he could not say a word. For the first time, he felt that it was such a stupid decision to quit school early. Uncultured, it was terrible. Chapter 38. Dang! Fang Yan got off work 2 minutes earlier so that he could avoid the rush hour after school. However, because of these hooligans' delay, the precious 2 minutes that Fang Yan had specially prepared for himself were wasted. As the school bell rang, the originally quiet school suddenly boiled up. The students were like wild horses that had broken free from their restraints, rushing outside with a loud bang. Rumble, the whole school shook because of this. The students rushed to the school gate and were immediately attracted by Fang Yan and the hooligans around him. Hey, isn't that the language teacher of the 9th class? He is Fang Yan. I saw him at the Bird River, so handsome. Did he provoke the hooligans in the school? Those people are not good people at first glance. Li Ziqiang was the leader, and a leader must have the style of a leader. Therefore, every time when it was time to get off work, he would slowly pack up the things on his desk, and when the students and teachers were almost gone, he would go downstairs to go home. Today, as usual, when he heard the school bell ring, he was still holding a book, The Importance of Student Education, with great interest. Bang! His office door was forcefully pushed open from the outside. Before he had time to get angry, a young teacher had already said anxiously, "Dean Li, someone is causing trouble at the school gate. They've blocked the school's main gate." Someone is causing trouble? Li Ziqiang stood up with a whoa. He was the school's dean, and also in charge of the school's security. Where's the security department? Didn't they send someone out to deal with it? Dean. A big man in a security uniform trotted in and said, "Dean, I'm here." "Zhao Dazhu, what are you doing? Something happened outside the school. Why didn't you send someone to deal with it? What are you doing here?" "Dean, don't be agitated." Chen Dahai, the head of the first-year mathematics group, slowly walked into the office and said with a smile, "I asked Chief Zhao to come with me. I think it's better to report this matter to the dean first." "Old Chen, what's going on?" Li Ziqiang asked doubtfully. Chen Dahai looked at the young teacher who broke in first and said, "Little Cheng, you get off work and go home first." "Okay, Teacher Chen," the young man answered and tactfully closed the door. He knew that he didn't need to participate in the following meeting. "Old Chen, what's going on?" Li Ziqiang looked at Chen Dahai and asked, "Director, do you know who those hooligans are blocking outside?" Chen Dahai asked with a smile. "Isn't he our student?" Li Ziqiang asked. "Bah, what kind of student is he?" Chen Dahai said viciously. "It's that bastard Fang Yan. I don't know what kind of person he provoked outside, but now that they've come to seek revenge, he'll have a taste of his own medicine later." "Fang Yan?" Li Ziqiang asked. He immediately understood why Chen Dahai brought the security chief to see him. It was said that a useless scholar was a scholar. If the scholar were to use his evil thoughts, he wouldn't be someone that an ordinary person would be able to handle. "Yes, it's him." Chen Dahai laughed coldly. "Director Li, for a teacher like this? I don't think there's a need to ask Section Chief Zhao to help him out, right? Wasn't he very capable? Then let him deal with it himself." Li Ziqiang pondered for a moment and said, "Nothing will happen, right? After all, this is the school's entrance. If something happens, I'm still in charge of the school's safety. I don't want to be stained with the stench of H*T. Director Li, don't worry," Zhao Dazhu said with a fawning face. "I've already asked little Yang and little Huang to keep an eye on him. When those hooligans are almost done with their revenge, they'll go out in time to protect our Rosefinch secondary teacher. Don't worry, he won't be in big trouble." "That's good." Li Ziqiang was relieved. "I'm quite satisfied with little Zhao's work. That's also because of Director Li's good teaching," Zhao Dazhu said flatteringly. Then we'll just watch now? Watch. When the hooligans beat him up, then we'll come out and rescue him. Then we'll hold him accountable for seducing the evil forces outside the school. Old Shen, seducing is a good word. That's true. We're in the field of education. Our words and actions should be based on the integrity of an educator. The three looked at each other and laughed. Jing Jing knew that Lu Chaoge was prejudiced against him, but he couldn't do anything to change it. He was a spy sent by that person. He knew that, and so did Lu Chaoge. Think about it, who would want to have a good relationship with someone who watched their every move all day long? Therefore, Jing Jing was more careful when facing Lu Chaoge. Knock knock. He stood at the door and gently knocked on Lu Chaoge's office door. Come in. Lu Chaoge's voice came from inside. Jing Jing pushed the door open and said anxiously, Principal Lu, something happened to teacher Fang Yan. Lu Chaoge was standing by the window trimming a potted plant. After listening to Fang Yan's, but thinking theory, she put her heart into it. She realized that potted plants were like flower arrangements. They indeed required emotional investment. In that case, your state of mind would be different, your goals would be different, and the artistic enjoyment you'd receive would be different. It had to be said that although Fang Yan was young, he still had some skill in artistic appreciation. Hearing Jing Jing's words, her first reaction was to frown and ask, What happened again? Jing Jing heard Lu Chaoge use the word, again, and understood that Lu Chaoge had a deep dislike for the troublemaker. Indeed, anyone who met such a troublemaker would have a headache. Wherever he went, he would stab people. No matter how useful he was, he couldn't be used. Look at how many things had happened in the past few days. She was secretly happy, but she didn't show it at all. I'm not sure. It seems that he was surrounded by a group of hooligans at the school gate. The students are staring at him. I'm afraid they'll make a move. Make a move? Lu Chaoge threw the scissors on the windowsill and said, Go out and see. Brother Wolf, are you okay? Brother Wolf, how are you? This kid has a bad mouth. Brothers, hit him with a brick. Shut up, all of you, Brother Wolf roared. He felt that his little universe was about to explode, and he also felt that his heart, liver, and lungs were about to explode. The hooligans immediately shut up. They were still very disciplined. In this aspect, he was even better than some students. Fang Yan. Brother Wolf stared at Fang Yan, and his voice had a choking smell of gunpowder. He was forcing himself to endure, otherwise he would have rushed up and been beaten to death by Fang Yan. Go ahead, I'm listening, Fang Yan said. Why did you lie? Lie? You said you were a math teacher at number 1 middle school. You lied to us, Brother Wolf said angrily. As a man, he would beat and scold others. How could he lie to others? I lied to you, Fang Yan admitted frankly. I don't understand. Why did you go through so much trouble to find me? Isn't it a good thing for everyone to maintain a sense of mystery and leave behind a beautiful memory? Fang Yan pointed at Brother Wolf and the group of hooligans behind him and said, Why did you bring them here? What do you think you can do to me with so many people? You can't beat me in a fight, you can't beat me in a scolding, and you can't scare me. Do you want to disgust me to death? If I were you, I would hide far away and never see you again. The hooligans couldn't take it anymore. Brother Wolf, I'll kill him, a guy in a tight vest with a tiger head tattoo on his arm roared angrily. He held a brick in his hand and rushed toward Fang Yan. Thump, Tiger Head fell to the ground and fell flat on his face. The brick in his hand flew out and smashed toward the students who were standing behind Fang Yan. Some students exclaimed. Fang Yan took a step back and then took another step forward. The brick was already in his hand. He moved so quickly that many people couldn't see what had happened. Fang Yan put the brick in Brother Wolf's hand and said, Go back. Take the gifts back with you. Brother Wolf wanted to raise the brick in his hand and hit Fang Yan's head. Gift? It was a gift from the god of death. After they were humiliated by Fang Yan in the bar, they went looking for Fang Yan like crazy. They looked for number 1 high school, number 2 high school, number 2 high school, number 3 high school, and finally found him in Rosefinch Secondary, only to find that they couldn't do anything to him. Rush up and let him beat them up again. Your weakness is stupidity, but your strength is fear of death. Fang Yen seemed to know Brother Wolf's mentality very well. He stared at him sharply and said, "Fear of death is a good habit. Only those who are afraid of death will not die." The muscles on Brother Wolf's face twitched, and he whispered, "I didn't want to fight. I just came over to say hello to you." He waved to his underlings and shouted, "Let's go." Thus, the gangsters turned around and left. Fang Yen smiled and waved to the students around him. He said, "They admire my talent and want to ask me to be their tutor. How can I have the time? I can only refuse regretfully. Everyone has a positive heart, and gangsters are no exception. I am very pleased that they have the spirit and desire to learn. We can't deny a person's ambition because of his identity. If all the idle people in society could be like them, how harmonious and beautiful our world would be." Clap, clap. The students applauded enthusiastically. "Don't clap, don't clap. This is what I should do." Fang Yen smiled modestly. "Who asked me to be a glorious and great teacher?" Chapter 39. What? Li Ziqiang was so emotional that his tongue was scalded by the boiling water that had just been poured into the cup. "What did you say?" "Those gangsters left just like that," Zhao Dezhu said with a sad face. They said a few words to Fang Yen and left. There was no conflict with Fang Yen at all, nor did they fight with Fang Yen. No conflict? No fight? Li Ziqiang stuck out his tongue and scolded angrily, "What are they doing here? I don't know." "You don't know? Didn't you ask someone to keep an eye on him? How come you don't know? This is a bit strange." Chen Dehai's face was gloomy, and his heart was very uncomfortable. What a beautiful dream they had. Fang Yen was beaten by the gangsters, and they would punish Fang Yen for colluding with the gangsters and drive him out of the school. Why did those gangsters leave? Did they still have professional ethics? Did they deserve to be a full-time gangster? I just stood upstairs and took a look. Those gangsters surrounded Fang Yen, and it looked like they were going to fight. Did Fang Yen agree to their conditions? Li Ziqiang took out a small mirror from the drawer and stuck out his tongue to check the condition of his tongue burn. "This matter needs to be investigated clearly," Li Ziqiang stammered. "Although there was no direct conflict, it's not appropriate for a bunch of idle people to come to the school and surround the gate of the school." "I will investigate it now," Zhao Dezhu said. After Zhao Dezhu turned and left, Chen Dehai walked in front of Li Ziqiang and said, "Director, this kid's luck is really good. There was no conflict, so I can only reprimand him a few words. I'm afraid it's not easy to use this excuse to fire a formal teacher. Let's put it aside first." Li Ziqiang waved his hand and said, "Dehai, I know you and Fang Yen have a conflict. However, let's put this matter aside first. The reporter's report is still there. If it is too obvious, it will make us look inferior." "Director, I understand. I don't have any personal conflicts with him. I just feel that this matter can't make Director Zheng feel uncomfortable. Am I right?" Chen Dehai said with a smile. Li Ziqiang nodded and said, "Don't worry. With us around, he won't have an easy time in Rosefinch. Mr. Fang, are you all right?" "Mr. Fang, even a little hooligan wants to hire you as a private tutor. You're too amazing. Mr. Fang, is that man Brother Wolf? He's very famous on West Street." Fang Yen dismissed the students who surrounded him and asked about his well-being. Just as he was about to walk to the bus stop, someone shouted from behind, "Fang Yen." Fang Yen turned around and saw Vice Principal Lu Chaoga standing not far away, looking at her. As expected, this woman was alarmed as well. Fang Yen walked quickly to Lu Chaoga and said, "Principal Lu, did this also alarm you?" "The entire school has been alerted," Lu Chaoga said with a cold expression. "This guy, can't you just calm down for a bit? You've only been here for a few days. Do you know how much trouble you've caused? Actually, it's not a big deal. The school doesn't have to deliberately praise me. Otherwise, others will misunderstand and think that I, Fang Yen, am vain." Fang Yen said embarrassedly. "Besides, they wanted to hire me as a private tutor, but I refused." I'm now an official teacher of Rosefinch Secondary. My heart is completely on the students of Rosefinch Secondary. How can I have the time and energy to teach them? But, Fang Yen nodded. However, you can't think that I'm a profiteer just because I refused them. As long as a hooligan is motivated, he's also a motivated hooligan. This reason is still acceptable, right? Come with me, Lu Chaoga said. After that, she turned around and walked away. Fang Yen followed behind her, appreciating the graceful movement of her waist. At the corner of the street opposite Rosefinch Secondary's entrance, a black Mercedes-Benz MPV was parked. The car's glass was pitch black, so people couldn't see what was happening inside. Thump, thump, the man's fingers rhythmically tapped on his thigh. With a gloomy expression, he said, "Looks like things are more serious than we thought." "Young master, there's no need to get angry over this," the old man sitting in the passenger seat said expressionlessly. "She's just a woman." "Just a woman?" The man's handsome features became ferocious. "I've given my all, but she's never responded to me. Now, she's treating a hooligan differently. Do you want everyone in Huaqing to think that I, Jiang Zhongzhu, lost to a hooligan?" The old man ignored Jiang Zhulio's anger and said, "The target has been invited by Miss Lu. Should we continue to wait or go look for him?" "Go back," Jiang Zhulu said. "Cancel the meeting." "Yes, young master," the old man said. The old man said to the driver, "Go back." "Young master," the old man said, "I'm suddenly interested in those hooligans." Jiang Zhulio's body softly leaned against the seat. His entire face was hidden in the shadows of the car. He said coldly, "Bring them to me." "Young master, they're just a few pieces of trash. They'll dirty their hands. They're not worth it. No matter how mature a man is, he'll still have the temperament of a child," Jiang Zhulu said with a smile. "I just want to play with the mud. Maybe it'll be interesting? But you're right, they're just a few pieces of trash. It's not scary to dirty their hands, but they'll stain their bodies. Uncle Lu, talk to them." "Yes, young master." "Young master," the old man replied. Rosefinch Secondary occupied a large area. Not only did it have a teaching area, office area, student living area, student activity area, but it also had a teacher's dormitory. The teacher's dormitory and the teaching area were separated by a wall. In the middle of the wall, there was a small door. The teacher could go home or go to class freely through the small door. The dormitory was shaded by trees, with red walls and green tiles. There were rockery, ponds, and pavilions. It was very comfortable. The environment and facilities here were more complete than some high-end residential areas. When Fang Yen first arrived, he had offended the son of the school director. Therefore, the school's logistics department had no intention of assigning him a dormitory. Later, when he became a permanent student, everyone pretended to forget about it. Therefore, this was his first time entering the teacher's dormitory. "The environment is really nice," Fang Yen praised. It was said that private schools were rich, and this was not a lie. Lu Chaoga didn't say anything. She walked straight ahead and stopped in front of a small courtyard with red walls. She took out the key from her bag, unlocked the door, and walked in. She didn't close the door. Naturally, she wanted to invite Fang Yen in for tea. Fang Yen strode over the threshold, turned around, and locked the courtyard door. Lu Chaoga turned around, frowned, and said, "Why did you lock the door?" Fang Yen was stunned. He replied, "To protect your safety." "I'm so King smart," Fang Yen said to himself in his heart. "I don't need you to protect my safety," Lu Chaoga said coldly. "As a man, I'm duty-bound," Fang Yen said with a serious expression. Lu Chaoga didn't bother to argue with him on this topic. She turned around and opened the door of the house. A delicate fragrance came to her face. This was a row of 3 tile-roofed houses with a separate door and courtyard. It was like a small villa hidden in the school park. The courtyard was well lit, and a large number of potted flowers were planted on the eaves. The unknown flowers were in full bloom. There were red, yellow, purple, and brilliant red flowers. The tempting fragrance was silently emitted by these beautiful elves. Perhaps because the door of the room hadn't been opened for a long time, the fragrance of the flowers in the room hoarded. As soon as the door was opened, it couldn't wait to roll out. After entering, Lu Chaoga unbuttoned her clothes and was about to take off her little suit jacket. Fang Yan was anxious and said, "Don't do this. I'm not a casual man. What did you say?" "According to international practice, shouldn't we have a glass of red wine first?" Fang Yan carefully put forward his personal opinion. He really didn't have much experience in this kind of thing. He just saw some similar plots from a few unconventional novels and TV movies to use as reference. Lu Chaoga was too lazy to talk to him. She took off her suit jacket and hung it on the hanger in the corner of the courtyard. Then she wore a slim white shirt and went to open all the windows in the room. A lot of fresh air rushed in, and the rich fragrance of the flowers in the room was slowly diluted. Mr. Fang Yan felt very regretful. It turned out that taking off clothes was for work, not for pleasure. Lu Chaoga went to the kitchen to boil water and made 2 cups of tea. Then she sat on the sofa in the living room, looked at Fang Yan and asked, "What's going on? Didn't I just explain it? Do you think I'll believe it?" "No," Fang Yan said. "That excuse is enough to cover up their accusations and attacks on me, right? I didn't have any conflict with them. I have to understand more clearly. To avoid them finding more loopholes and catching us off guard." Lu Chaoga held the teacup and said with a serious face, "I don't like to fight a battle I'm not sure of winning." Fang Yan hesitated for a moment and said, "It seems that I can only tell you the truth. In fact, the truth of the matter is like this. Yesterday when I came home from school, I passed by the entrance of a bar and saw them molesting a little girl. The girl was obviously a female student. At that time, there were 2 villains fighting in my mind. The villain called Beast said, 'Let's go, let's go. It has nothing to do with you anyway, and that girl is not your student.' The villain who is worse than Beast said that he would break his head and bleed if he encountered a hooligan. The villain who is worse than Beast was beaten to death by the villain who is worse than Beast. So I went up to stop a malicious harassment incident. So they want to retaliate. They were originally prepared to retaliate. But the moment they saw me, they suddenly felt that it was intolerable to treat a teacher who was filled with a sense of justice and served the students wholeheartedly like this. Everyone shook hands, thanked each other for their hard work, and went back." "Do you think I believe you?" Lu Chaoga asked expressionlessly. Fang Yan seriously looked at Lu Chaoga's snow-white delicate face and clear and charming eyes. He grinned and said, "I think you are really beautiful." Chapter 40. Fang Yan. The veins on Lu Chaoga's jade-like hand that was holding the teacup were bulging. She had the urge to crush the teacup. He was flirting with her. Naked flirting. "Don't talk nonsense." Lu Chaoga's face was frosty as she shouted sternly. "How am I spouting nonsense?" Fang Yan was so furious that he was about to explode. "Don't think that you can twist my thoughts and opinions just because you're a leader. I'm also a man with morals. I have the professional qualities of a teacher. Go look in the mirror and see if you look good. If you dare to say that I don't look good, I'll jump into the Sparrow River and swim naked." Lu Chaoga was about to cry. The education that she had received was not like this. She had never met someone like Fang Yan in her life. She really didn't know how to deal with such a rascal. "I knew you wouldn't dare," Fang Yan said coldly. "The truth is in the hands of the majority. Am I the first person to say that? Of course not." "Fang Yan." Lu Chaoga tried hard not to lose her temper and said, "Let's talk about something serious." "What do you mean?" Fang Yan's eyes widened. "I'm not serious because I'm praising your beauty. You can insult me, but you don't have to insult yourself, right?" "Fang Yan." Lu Chaoga felt like she was about to run out of energy. "Let's change the topic." Fang Yan's anger finally subsided. He sat back down obediently and said, "Is this house yours?" Lu Chaoga shook her head. "The school assigned it. It's one of the benefits of teaching at Rosefinch. No wonder everyone likes to be a leader," Fang Yan said enviously. "I can't even get a small room in the school, But a leader can live in a small villa with its own door and courtyard. What's going on? Lu Chaoga asked curiously. The school has a rule that every teacher taught by Rosefinch can apply for housing. Even intern teachers are no exception. Didn't you apply to the school? I did apply, but they took me to a storage room that no one wanted. The walls were broken, and the ceiling was leaking water. Could I even live in a room like that? He had no choice but to rent a room outside. Otherwise, why would I need to borrow money from you? Preposterous. It was the first time that Lu Chaoga had heard of such a thing. She said angrily, "They are taking revenge." Isn't that right? Fang Yan said. I've always suspected that too. It's not that I'm too outstanding, it's that the leader I follow is too outstanding. Otherwise, why would they always target me? Lu Chaoga clasped her fingers together and pondered for a moment. Suddenly, she picked up a bunch of keys from the table and threw them to Fang Yan. What's the meaning of this? Fang Yan grabbed the keys and asked. This is the key to this house, Lu Chaoga said. If you give me the keys, where will you live? Fang Yan asked. Soon, Fang Yan's heart bloomed with joy. You mean we're living together? That's great. In the past, I thought that only bodyguards could live with female employers. I didn't expect that a teacher could live with a female principal. You're the one living here. Lu Chaoga had to correct him. I have another place to live. Is that so? Fang Yan's enthusiasm was greatly diminished. It's not convenient to live outside and it's not safe to drive if you live too far away. Look at the news every day. There's either a car accident here or a rear-end collision there. It's frightening to hear. This house is so big. You have one room and I have one room. Although the principal's reputation isn't very good these years, but I think you're different from them. I don't think you'll do that kind of thing to me. Lu Chaoga didn't speak. She just stared coldly at Fang Yan. Are you hesitating? Lu Chaoga still didn't speak. She stared coldly at Fang Yan. You don't have to rush to answer me. Think about it, Fang Yan said. There's no need to think about it, Lu Chaoga said. Impossible. Absolutely impossible. It's impossible in this life, and it's impossible in the next life. Fang Yan widened his eyes and said, Why are you so excited? I feel sorry for occupying your big house alone, so I wanted to invite you to live with me. I even deliberately ignored some of the bad comments about the principal's position in society. I order you as the principal that from now on, you're not allowed to speak again. Lu Chaoga put down the teacup and said loudly, I have 3 requirements for you to live in the house. First, help me take care of the flowers and plants in the house. I'll settle accounts with you if a pot dies or a pot dries up. I'm sure you know the value of these flowers better than I do. I'll deduct it from your salary. If it's not enough this month, I'll deduct it from the next month until it's all deducted. Second, the house has to be cleaned carefully. I don't like the stench. I'll come over to check on it from time to time. Third, don't bring any random people in. If the neighbors think you're affecting them, I'll take back the house immediately. Do you understand? Fang Yan didn't answer. Lu Chaoga didn't want to hear any more of his answers. She jumped up from the sofa with a whoosh. She carried her bag and walked to the door. She grabbed her suit jacket from the hanger and walked out. Tap, 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 the high-heeled shoes tapped on the bluestone floor. It seemed that she was in a hurry. Understood. Fang Yan breathed a sigh of relief. He could finally speak. After Lu Chaoga left, Fang Yan suddenly felt much more comfortable. This woman was too cold to Fang Yan. He couldn't feel the warmth of spring. She really wasn't a qualified leader. Fang Yan walked around the house with a teacup in his hand. There were 3 tiled houses with bedrooms on the left and right sides, a living room and a Western-style kitchen in the middle. The layout of the house was similar to that of a single-story villa. Of course, Fang Yan could understand that no matter how rich the school was, they couldn't be too ostentatious. Otherwise, if the media reported it, the parents knew that the teachers lived in villas and deliberately didn't send their children to tuition. Where would the teachers collect tuition fees? The front yard was very large, with flowers and plants on both sides. Although the backyard was small, There was an open-air set of stone tables and chairs, as well as some flowers and plants. It had to be said that Lu Chaoge really had an extraordinary love for flowers and plants. I'm going to live in this house in the future? Fang Yan couldn't be happier. You're really good at flattering yourself. Teacher Fang Yan used practical actions to prove to everyone that flattery was pervasive. Some people said that they hated people flattering them the most, but if you had to flatter them, they would still be very happy in their hearts. If Fang Yan didn't praise Lu Chaoge's beauty, how could he live in such a beautiful house? It's nothing more than a matter of technique. Fang Yan concluded in his heart. He felt that his performance today was still not bad. Women, after all, who didn't want to hear others say that they were beautiful? Of course, some details could still be perfected, but one must not be arrogant and complacent. As soon as Lu Chaoge walked into the campus, the office's deputy director, Jing Jing, ran up to her and asked with a smile, "Principal Lu, you haven't had dinner yet, right? Do you want the school's special kitchen to cook a few dishes for you?" Jing Jing had been standing guard at the entrance of the campus and the teachers' living quarters. Obviously, he knew everything about Lu Chaoge's movements. "Do you know that teacher Fang Yan is being troubled by the logistics department?" Lu Chaoge didn't respond to Jing Jing's attentiveness and walked quickly to the school's parking lot. "Principal Lu, about this, I heard some rumors," Jing Jing said awkwardly. He secretly cursed in his heart. "Seems like that damn hooligan reported me to the leader again. Is he still a man? Why does he always use these dirty tricks? Just thinking about it made me angry. Why didn't you tell me? I don't think it's a big deal." Jing Jing was a little guilty. Of course, he knew that the logistics department dared to do this because they wanted to smear Lu Chaoge's reputation. "Isn't Fang Yan your person? I won't let him have a good life in school, I won't give you face." But thinking that after saying it, Lu Chaoge would jump out to stand up for Fang Yan. "My little Fang Yan, why is it your mess again? Do you know how much trouble you've brought me after you came? Do you really think so?" Lu Chaoge suddenly turned around and stared at Jing Jing with a sharp gaze. Jing Jing's forehead was dripping with cold sweat, but he didn't dare to find an excuse to lie to Lu Chaoge. This woman was very smart, he knew it a long time ago. "Call the logistics supervisor, Xinjiang, and tell him that I'm lending my assigned room to teacher Fang Yan. Let them handle the residential procedures for teacher Fang Yan." "Principal Lu, this isn't good, right? This is your house, you're giving it to a new male teacher. I want everyone to see that I, Lu Chaoge, will not mistreat anyone who follows me," Lu Chaoge said domineeringly. "People who can do things and do things should be rewarded." Jing Jing was silent. He was actually worried that if Lu Chaoge gave her assigned house to Fang Yan, there would be rumors in the school that she and Fang Yan had an ambiguous relationship. Otherwise, there were so many male teachers in the school, why did she give it to Fang Yan? If the rumors appeared, how would he explain it to the man known as Jiang Zhongzhu in a certain circle? Would he swing a baseball bat and beat him again? However, Lu Chaoge deliberately led the topic to buying a horse's bone, so he couldn't say that out loud. Besides, it was his own lack of awareness and dirty thoughts. Touching the wound on his forehead, Jing Jing sighed softly. "But this is a dirty world." You're tuning in to the Wang Lin's Journey YouTube channel. Don't forget to subscribe and join us on this journey to catch the most captivating stories.